Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Overtime. We have yet another police shooting with a dead victim in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're going to cover what we know, which by this point is actually an extensive amount of stuff. Before we get to that, let me get to one very quick thing, which will have a minor point on this later, but is also worth noting. ABC News says that a historic storm, ice and snow, is heading from the Midland east. It has brought some significantly cold temperatures in Minnesota yesterday during the protest, with 50,000 protesters in Minneapolis in negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I believe that's negative 23 Celsius. And just it still wasn't actually record cold, but it was close, is my understanding. And they had 50,000 protesters, and that's before wind chill. Minneapolis apparently has an expression: there's no such thing as a cold weather, just poor clothing choices. Having said that, that storm has passed. The temperature is rising. It is a balmy negative 1 degrees in Minneapolis today, right now. Again, that will become somewhat salient. The East is bracing for what could be one of the worst storms in at least quite a while. Again, ABC is reporting in history. One of the reasons is because of the ice. When you get an ice storm, ice forms on the trees, weighs the trees down, breaks the limbs off the trees hit the power lines, boom. Doesn't happen in snowstorms. You can have the blizzard of 78. There wasn't any significant power loss. Yes, the snow was enough to go to the second floor. I've seen pictures of people coming out of what looks like their front door. No, it's their second-story porch. But that's not as big a problem as an ice storm. The East is preparing for this, and we will see what happens. Now that we've got that covered, the second thing we have to cover before we begin, we are going to show multiple angles of a man being killed. It is not gory. And in fact, in every angle I believe that we have, he is for the most part obscured by ICE agents. This was admittedly a very scary situation for the ICE agents. They outnumbered the man only 6-1. So I can understand why they needed so many ICE agents, and he was on the ground, so obviously he had to be shot. You're not going to see gore, but nearly every piece of footage we're going to show you today is of a man being killed, and we would like to make you aware of that before we begin. We are not going to warn, we're going to tell you what you're about to see, but we're not going to give you this warning before every video. We don't have that kind of time. Before we begin also, I think what I'd like to do is invert this slightly to make a point. I would like to talk about the reaction to this killing and just the surface facts of what we know, which is that ICE engaged a man, shot and killed him. The White House response was, let me make sure I can get this up here. Yeah, the White House response was this. That is not the right video. We have a lot of video to show you today. This gunman's gun loaded with 2 additional magazines ready to go. What's that about? Where are the local police? Why weren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? The mayor and governor called them off. It is stated that many of these police are not allowed to do their jobs, that ICE had to protect themselves. Yeah, with the gas canisters they deployed. Not an easy thing to do. Why does Ilhan Omar have $35 million in her account, and where are the tens of billions of dollars that have been stolen from the once great state of Minnesota? None of his business, actually. He doesn't run the state. Let's see. Well, where are okay, so I'm not even going to get into this ranting. We want our money back now. So he basically ignores, but he does repeat what is said by I believe it was an ICE official, let me hold on. Let me get this down because I'm done with this. They do show, and I want to make this clear before we begin. Here we go. This weapon and 2 magazines, which they claim was recovered from the victim. So the official report that we have gotten is that he raised the gun at ICE, and in defense, they fired. And then there is a press conference. We have it on our Discord. I'm not going to play it, but it is the government's, I think it was actually a briefing by Homeland Security, basically saying that he didn't fire, but he brandished it, and they actually gave him several opportunities to lower the gun before they opened fire and killed him. So it was, according to them, a very clear act of self-defense. He was brandishing, which, by the way, is a crime. There's a difference between, if you have, even in open carry states, if you have a gun with you, you can walk into a grocery store. This is a little weird for people like me from states where, no, you're not really allowed to do that. But you can carry it into the grocery store with you and just hang out with your firearm in public. But pulling it out and waving it at people is called brandishing, and it is illegal in basically every open carry state. It's a form of threatening. You're not allowed to do it, and it's a bigger form of threatening than just being unarmed and saying, I'm going to kill you, because you actually have the means to do so. So, essentially, they accuse him of brandishing, which is a crime. Brandishing against ICE officials. They told him to drop it, gave him multiple opportunities, and when he didn't, they engaged. And some reports are that they, I think, reported that they fired 10 times. The number of shots that we've been able to hear is 6. Let us watch the first video that we have. Now, in response, let's actually, just before we get to that, in response, Tim Walz has activated the National Guard. Now, I want to be crystal clear on their role in this and the idiot orange president's clear misunderstanding of the law. And I don't even think he misunderstands the law. I don't think he cares he does misunderstand it, but he doesn't care that he misunderstands it. ICE is not the police are not permitted to work with or against ICE. They cannot interfere with ICE. ICE is a federal agency. The police are local, and or state, depending. The police don't get involved except under certain circumstances. This would have been one of them. If the police had been there, they likely would have had to engage ICE. I don't think they would have engaged ICE. I think they'd be intimidated, and I think they wouldn't want to limit the bloodshed that would have happened had they engaged ICE. But technically speaking, they would have been required by their oaths as police officers to engage ICE had they been there. So Trump is asking where the police are and why does ICE have to defend itself? Well, ICE shouldn't be engaging protesters. Why was ICE engaging protesters and in a situation where they felt they needed to defend themselves? The idea of this man brandishing a gun notwithstanding. They weren't making any arrests. They were in the middle of the street. Everyone they engaged with was either in the street or on the sidewalks, neither of which are areas where ICE actually has jurisdiction. The police cannot arrest you for standing on the sidewalk. They can arrest you for standing in the street, but ICE can't. ICE isn't allowed to arrest or detain American citizens except under one condition, and that's when those American citizens are aiding and abetting in the trafficking of human beings or getting smuggling of human beings across the border. So ICE had no business being there or doing any of this. That ICE was armed with gas canisters, which they did deploy, tear gas, makes me ask and wonder, why did they need defending? Why were they going out and instigating? Again, the brandishing incident, which would obviously be serious. And we've been expecting an incident like that, in as much as you know, you get lone gunmen every now and then, and you know, there's 300 million Americans, more than that, and sometimes one of them is going to get crazy and do something. That's why you don't instigate. That's why you don't advocate for the murder of your political adversaries, because there's some knucklehead out there who's going to think you actually mean it. That's why everyone got upset when Sarah Palin put bullseyes, literal bullseyes, on the faces of everyone she didn't like. That's really unwise. Anyways, you have now heard the government's version of these events. What I'd like to do is show you at this point the first angle that we've got of and you're going to hear a lot of whistling. The whistles are basically there to distract. They are the protesters. It's perfectly legal to whistle very loudly at or near an ICE officer. It is a means of protest. That is why you hear this is an active protest that you're going to hear and see what's going on. This is the one of several angles we're going to show you. The angles become important. And one more time before I begin, and I know I'm kind of wasting people's time because they want to see and understand what really did happen. I've given one version of events. We're about to get into the evidence that we have and to see how much it supports of this. But during the Renee Good shooting, those of you who were with us for that, I gave as much charity as humanly possible to the ICE agents, including suggesting, not suggesting, outright saying, I thought there was a distinct possibility that the car clipped the ICE agent, hitting him probably maybe in the leg. We have reviewed that video to death and demonstrated beyond any doubt in my mind that not only was the officer not touched by the vehicle, but that he had positioned himself such that he could put himself in danger, allowing the use of the justified use of lethal force in return, but not such sufficient danger that he would actually get injured. He put himself close enough where he could get clipped, but before getting clipped, put his hands on the dashboard not the dashboard, the hood, to get himself away from it. And he was ready to do that. And one way you know that he deliberately did that was because he moved his camera, which he was holding with his right hand, to his left before he even got into that position, and then put his hand on his holster before any of this happened, meaning he was preparing to incite that incident. We are going to give the same maximal charity to these men here and to these videos. And people got pissed that I gave that much charity. You have to, because this is either going to end up in court somewhere, or you have to, and you're going to have to hear the people that you're going to argue against, whatever your position or side is going to be. But after giving them the maximal charity, the only reasonable conclusion is that that ICE officer precipitated that event so that he could murder Miss Good. And thank you. We have multiple, we don't know how many shots at this point. It probably doesn't matter. The man's dead. We did. And that's something we do. I mean, we workshopped it here. All of us sat down and tried to figure out exactly what's going on. We've done that here, and we believe we already actually have a very good conclusion of what exactly happened. Let's begin. This is the first video we're going to show you. Again, this is of someone being killed. There is no gore, but it may nonetheless be traumatizing.
Go! What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right, this is the actual incident. It's in front of this white car. The ICE agents are not easily identifiable. It's so cold at this point. My suspicion is that they're wearing civilian clothing. What they're going to argue, at least, is they're wearing civilian clothing because there are no uniforms that are really designed to handle these kinds of temperatures. That may or may not be true. I don't know. Having said that, the ICE officers here are very difficult to distinguish in some cases. They also, in some cases, have a proper vest on, so you can tell. But it's difficult to distinguish between ICE officers and civilians. We will endeavor to point out who is who. We're gonna. Thank you. I'll get to that. Okay, you can see they just deploy tear gas. These poor ICE officers. Again, it's an unbelievable situation for these ICE officers. They outnumber the man 6-1, and they're armed with tear gas. At this point, it's obvious why a shooting was necessary.
The fuck, people! The fuck is wrong with you?
He's on the ground. They're on top of him. Okay, the guy who's going to shoot him is the guy in the center. He's got kind of what looks like a hood on. I'm not sure if he's wearing a hood, but it's the guy in the center. He may already have the gun in his left hand. His right hand is by his leg. I believe this is the guy who shoots him. Yep, he just pulled his gun out of his holster. His gun is in his right hand. He's fired. All right. I hate to do this, but I think at this point what we should do is, well, I'm curious. Okay, what I think we should do is focus on specifically that, right? You can see the man is dead. Most of the people around him are ICE agents. They are not. Okay, there he is. Okay, so he's the guy with the hood. You can see his right hand is aiming for the gun. The man is on the ground. And then he opens fire as the man is on the ground, and there are ICE agents all over him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I count 7 ICE agents against one man. Now, as to the claim that he was armed, which I think we need to get into. And actually, we're going to do this. We're going to play this one more time, and then we're going to get into the claim that he was armed and brandishing. 2 separate claims that need to be addressed. This is from a synchronized, a different view. Now, this is a lot of ICE agents here. You can tell by the vests, so they are in civilian clothing, but they've got the vests on. Another one comes, there you go. This guy is clearly on the ground. And we're going to get into, what we have to get into, obviously, is what precipitated this. Because if he was brandishing or doing anything else like that, that would certainly precipitate the use of at least some force. Okay, they shoot him, and you can tell he's dead. It looks like another officer shot after that. So this is a sync up of the 2 videos. So who was this man? His name was Alex Perditi. He worked at the VA. He was a nurse. He let's see. He apparently he worked with critically ill veterans, and was really well liked by both the veterans and the nurses. In fact, some of the nurses that he met in nursing school, he continued relationships with. He was, I want to say 35, if I remember correctly. This is the man who was shot and killed when outnumbered by ICE significantly. Did he have a gun? The answer to that is yes, he did. He had a gun, but there are a couple of things that people should be aware of with that gun. One, he had a license to carry it. He had a license to carry it in public. So the right, which is ostensibly a pro-Second Amendment, he had a right to carry it to that protest, and he had a right to carry it to be on the sidewalk with it. He had a right to do all of those things. So that leaves the brandishing question, because having the firearm is actually not illegal for him. It would have been for me. I don't have a license. He did. So he had every right to carry it. I can't believe I fucking have to explain this to the right-wing government that is in... All right, fine. So where was the gun? This is a picture of the initial confrontation that started everything. What he is holding in his hand is a camera where he is recording the events. You cannot see the gun. It is in a holster on, I believe, his left side. His gun is may or may not have been seen before this started, but he is clearly not brandishing it, nor could he, because he's holding his camera. So this is the initial part of the engagement. He is in a line with multiple other people with whistles, as you can see, protesting, which is not illegal. He is in the street. He is not actually obstructing anything, though, and in fact, if you look at the video, he's in front of a car. He's really in a parking space along the street. So he has done absolutely nothing illegal as of the moment the engagement starts. When did he then maybe go for his gun? He did not. The way we know this is because that is his gun right there. One of the ICE agents saw the gun and withdrew it from the holster while he was on the ground. We're going to play the video again, and we're going to show this man withdrawing the gun from his holster and running away with it. Now, admittedly, if you're going to engage someone and they have a gun, getting it away from them is a wise idea, but at no point is there any evidence that Dmitry, even while he was outnumbered 6-1 and being kicked in the head on the ground, actually reached for his weapon. The only person to reach for for Alex's weapon was the ICE agent, who reached for the weapon, withdrew it from the holster, and then ran away with it. Now, if you take a look at this, you could say, well, wait a minute, maybe this is the ICE agent who shot him. No, we've seen the ICE agent who shot him. In fact, you can see behind him the ICE agent who shot him getting ready to do so. As soon as the gun, the only weapon that this man had legally and had not brandished, because you can actually see this man removing the gun from the holster. It was in the holster when the ICE agent removed it, as Dmitry was on the ground, held there by 6 officers. As soon as Dmitry was unarmed, I keep saying Dmitry, I apologize. Dmitry is one of our sources on this. As soon as Alex was unarmed, that's when they fired, and not until then. Let us see. I want to show specifically the removal of the firearm. So let's get into that right now. All right. I don't know. Well, there. He's reaching over. Alex is on the ground, pulls out the firearm. Okay, he's got the firearm. And, oh, yep. There's the firearm in his right hand. And you can see he's reaching over. Okay, so the holster was where you'd expect, actually. It was on his right. He is pulling the gun from the holster. Dmitry is basically sitting on his legs. He's got people on top of him. He couldn't reach the gun if he wanted to. Well, unless, I suppose if his right hand was free, maybe he could. There you go. The agent has the gun. And shortly after that, now that he's disarmed, they shoot him. This is part of a repeated pattern of many things, but perhaps actually most importantly, the federal government lying to us. And this isn't to say that the murder of someone on the streets in the U.S. isn't absolutely horrible, but when the government's at least honest about it and says there's a terrible tragedy and our ICE agents clearly overreacted when out attacking a guy who, again, and I want to show that this picture says 1,000 words. This is the most important picture I think we've shown in quite some time. He is not reaching for his gun. His gun, actually, we just established now, is actually on his right side, and his right hand is holding a camera. He has no interest in violence. He has not approached the ICE agent. You can tell where the line is of protesters because you can see the woman with the whistle watching. She's got a whistle. She's not a bystander. She's, and as she, he steps out of the middle of the road, which is where all the rest of them are, and we're going to show that footage in a minute. They go approach him, these poor, unarmed ICE officers who only outnumbered him 6-1. It's just terrifying, according to Trump. And where were the police while they were beating this guy, taking his weapons so they could shoot and kill him? I don't know. That's a really good question. I will tell you this. Had the police been there, given what we've seen of the circumstances, the police would have seen this. A man who was doing nothing was then engaged, everything he was doing was legal, was then engaged by ICE and murdered. The police would have had an obligation to arrest every ICE officer there, which I doubt they would have permitted, and we would have seen a lot of bloodshed. If we could trust a government where, I mean, the President of the United States has already weighed in on this and said that this man aimed his gun at multiple people. The only time his gun left the holster, we have on video, and it was as ICE disarmed him. And it was only after he was disarmed and on the ground that he was shot between 6 and 10 times. Period. End of discussion. I don't care how many angles you want this from. We've got all the angles. We're going to show one more. And then we're going to talk about another very disturbing part of this story. That's the... This is from a car that was passing by, and what's important about this one is you can actually see where he is. All right, thank you. He is not in the middle of the road, so it's not actually obstructing traffic. And ICE, who was going down the middle of the road, and after this, what happened after this is very important, and what we're looking at for tonight is very important. We're going to discuss that. I have not seen the live chat. I have not gone to the live chat. As we're doing this show, I'm engaged in several conversations to make sure that we are getting you the most up-to-date information we can. So I do apologize if there have been questions and super chats. I will get to them. They're important to us, and we appreciate that support, but I haven't been in the live chat yet. And there's still a couple of very important pieces of information to go over. But this view is extremely important because what you can see is he's not obstructing traffic, and ICE approached him. Period. End of discussion. They may have seen the weapon under his coat. I doubt it. But even if they did, in Minnesota, it's perfectly legal. Even if it's not perfectly legal, even if having that weapon was illegal, ICE is not permitted to engage in law enforcement in Minnesota. They are a federal agency that can only work on immigration, and him having an illegal firearm is not an immigration issue. Nothing about this was remotely illegal on the civilian side. Everything about this screams deliberate murder of an unarmed civilian on the ground by ICE, which deliberately instigated the situation. Let's play this video.
Things got buried. Yeah, unroll your windows. No, you're just spraying inside. And go around. Fuck off! pieces of shit.
All right, and what I think we're going to be doing, we were going to do just sort of a standard overtime on this. We have multiple reports of significant protesting and deployments of tear gas in Minnesota. We have a live feed for that. An armored vehicle has now entered. There's a very large number of protesters, and this is very similar to what happened with the George Floyd. A very large number of protesters at the location where this shooting occurred. An armored vehicle has now been seen approaching that vicinity. It's hard to know who would own that armored vehicle. My suspicion is it is the National Guard. Tim Walz has deployed the National Guard. Let's hear what Tim Walz had to say about the deployment of the National Guard. I think it's very important that we understand what they are there to do. It's regrettable, but he is splitting the difference on this. They are not there to protect what we would want protesters from ICE. They're not there to not do that either, but it's an important. Let's hear what he has to say.
Have you activated the National Guard? I noted that Sheriff Witt has requested for additional assistance. Can you tell us whether they're going to be playing a role?
Yes, the answer is yes, we have, as we said last week, and we staged those troops. I'll have General 𝐒𝐚𝐬 talk about where they're at, and again, use this as an opportunity to stress to Minnesotans the frustration you have, and as you saw this, they killed a man, created chaos, pushed down protesters, threw gas indiscriminately, and then left the scene, and then we're left to clean up. I understand the anger. I understand trying to parse who were the law enforcement on the scene when you got there after a man was killed is difficult for the folks who are out there. But I can't stress enough, our goal, and I'll have General 𝐒𝐚𝐬 talk about what the role of these Guard troops are in conjunction with incredible work from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, from mutual aid across, and of course the State Patrol, of trying to get to the point where what we're saying is we can handle this and Minnesotans can express their First Amendment rights and have our folks on the streets and get these people out of here. And so, John, if you want to talk a little bit, but the answer is yes, there's activated. He can talk to you about numbers.
To be clear, that they're activated different than having them staged.
Yeah.
So the question is, what's the National Guard doing right now? So we have, we have been on state active duty for over a week. So we've had soldiers prepared in the metro area to respond in a much rapid manner than if they were not mobilized. So we have a request from the Hennepin County Sheriff to support them, and that is to help them free up additional resources for other work that they need to do. And we have started coordinating with them this morning on that, and that first area of support will be assisting them with their requirement to provide security to the Whipple building. So we'll be helping them there. And then we are in parallel planning with other organizations within the state of Minnesota, to include the State Patrol, the Minnesota DNR, and other local agencies to render assistance if requested.
All right. I will tell you, there is a part of me that would like to hear Walz say, we're deploying the National Guard to protect our citizens from an invasion of armed forces that are murdering them. Tim Walz, fortunately, has a little more restraint than I do. If they did that, we would be looking at a civil war in this country. That is not a joke. That is not hyperbole. That is because you would have, actually not a civil war, a rebellion, because you would have state forces there in opposition to federal forces. It may come to that, and this deployment increases the chances it will come to that. Reasonably significantly, too, because there are different rules of engagement for each side, and each side does represent, well, presumably the feds and the civilian government are on the same side. That's really not entirely true. So this dramatically increases the chances of some form of confrontation between civilian authorities and federal authorities, which I think Tim Walz very rightly is trying to avoid. It's not as cathartic for me. I'd like to hear him say, we're going to protect every Minnesotan's life against murdering fucking ICE agents. I'd also like to point out, we've talked about this before, and I want to make something else crystal clear here. If these were regular ICE agents, we'd be having a somewhat different conversation. These aren't. You can tell by looking at them, they have zero training. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're trying to engage this guy. They don't know any significant holds. They take 6 of them to keep this guy down, and he's not Rambo. And then they just shoot him while he's on the ground. A well-trained ICE officer, while not necessarily warm and fuzzy, at least should have some idea of how to engage in a way that he can control the situation without the help of 5 of his buddies. And I'm watching sort of the way these guys spread their legs apart and are trying to maneuver and locking themselves into very weird positions and angles as they try to hold this guy down. And like, if he moves in the slightest, you're just tipping over and, oh, there you go. So this represents what we have been told to expect and have been expecting, which is an increasing number of ICE agents who are there because they're getting a $50,000 signing bonus and because there are no background checks. And I wish that was hyperbole. The problem with my dry sense of humor is sometimes people can't tell when I'm being funny and when I'm not. I'm not kidding. There's no background checks. There's supposed to be background checks. They say they do background checks, but journalists have gone undercover, applied for ICE positions with fake identities that they knew had serious criminal offenses and passed and were accepted into ICE. So they're not doing background checks. They don't care. In fact, they probably prefer people who would like to exercise some level of violence. I would like to do a quick shout out. Greg Terry has been sending me some information in the background, and he's got some great, he sent this footage, which is another angle, and I think an important one because it's far away, but has a pretty clear view of what happened. We're going to play this again. Why so many angles? I want to make this crystal clear. I could be Nancy Grace. I'd be like, we're going to show you 16 different angles of the baby mom killer as she's walking by her lawyer. No, we're doing this because this is extraordinarily important to understand what happened, because our federal government at 2 separate levels, the Department of Homeland Security and the President of the United States, who's the head of the executive branch, have given a crystal clear story, which is what I started out with. I told you all. I gave you their version. A human being is most likely to believe the first version of events they hear. I gave you all the government's version. Now we are looking at as many clips of the evidence as to what your eyes can tell you happened. Let's take a look.
They doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people,
Gun out of the holster there. Well, it does appear like the video may have frozen.
What the fuck? They killed him? Did they fucking kill that guy? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Not again.
All right, that video, I don't know if that video froze. I'm not sure that.
Fuck? They killed.
Some of these videos are encrypted and we can't. Okay, that's at least as much as you could see. So, ICE being a stand by one, please. ICE being a professional organization took the officer who shot, removed his weapon, put him on not suspended where you don't get, but put on leave with pay, maybe gave him a desk job, so that they could just do a proper investigation. Nobody thinks he did anything wrong. But that's, a good, proper procedure, and maybe even let a third party like that. I mean, if this is a shooting that happened, this needs to be investigated by local authorities. This is a problem to be solved by the Minnesota police, not by ICE. So the Minnesota police were quickly informed, given all of the evidence. Just kidding. No. ICE, after this shooting, went ahead and engaged every protester who had a camera and started stealing the cameras from all of the protesters. This is that footage.
Right here. I was standing here.
Watch out. Hey, man!
We have multiple reports of ICE agents basically at that point engaging anybody who was a witness to this and attempting to just sweeping down the road. We've got here this footage that we played earlier, but you can see the dead body. And the ICE agents go mostly towards that crowd and begin taking people's cell phones. This is obviously, it goes without saying, without a warrant. They don't have the right to take an American cell phone. The police have that right under certain circumstances, probable cause, something like that. And there's a procedure to ensure that the cell phone isn't tampered with, even by the police. ICE agents are A, not trained, B, they're not local law enforcement. That's not their role. That's why they're not trained to do that. If they did nothing wrong, why are they taking the cell phones of absolutely everybody they can out there? That, in my mind, is the absolute most damning part of all of this, except possibly the fact that they shot a man who was held down by 6 people and was absolutely unarmed because they disarmed him. I'd like to try to play one more clip. We have let's give this one a. This is ICE. Let's play it. This is shortly after he has been shot. ICE is dispersing towards the rest of the... Okay, the officer says, "Where's his gun?" So they're looking for his gun. They're not aware, apparently, that he had been disarmed. That may end up being used as an excuse. Apparently, the fact that an ICE officer is saying that suggests that before the engagement started, they knew he had a weapon. Here's the other thing. When ICE gets deployed somewhere, usually prior to this era, the Trump era, they would be briefed on local laws because every state has its own laws. And this is something I often find myself forgetting to remind Europeans and our international viewers that we're a little bit like the EU in that sense, which is every state can really have its own laws as long as it doesn't conflict with the federal laws. And some states allow you to have guns and just walk around with them, and some states say absolutely not, except under extraordinarily strict circumstances. There are a number of states that would like to outlaw guns entirely. but they can't because there's the Constitution and it's a federal level and it says you have a right. So they just limit guns as much as they can. Having said that, if an ICE officer is used to living in a state where you cannot carry a gun and then just walk down the street, you can't do it. It's called open carry. There are many states that do not permit open carry. And then he sees somebody open carrying a gun, he may think that that person's a threat. If you go to, I've been in states that permit open carry. My state, and I've spent all my life in a state that does not permit open carry. And I've gone to states that have open carry, and a guy's got an AR-15 or whatever it's called, just walking down Walmart, and he's just like, I need a little more bread. And he's just carrying the thing. I'm like, is anyone gonna? Hello? Is this a problem? Because people are really kind of chill about the fact that this guy's got an AR-15 and he's just walking down, just buying the Fruit Loops. Yeah, I think they're in aisle 7. Don't shoot me. And it's perfectly legal. And everybody there is perfectly used to it, too. I mean, there's some people like, oh, yeah, I've seen all kinds of weapons. You know, my kid, we go grocery shopping. I just remind my kid, don't touch the weapon, you know. It's common sense shit. So perhaps, again, granting the maximal benefit, which I do try to do, an ICE officer may have seen the holster and said, oh my God, he's armed, go get him. But the problem is, again, in that state he's permitted to be, and they're not law enforcement, so even if he wasn't, they can't do anything until he's brandishing. If he's brandishing, then they can do something. Just so long as he's brandishing towards them, actually. If he goes to a bunch of random people, if he holds up a bank, ICE has no authority to go and enter the bank and engage him. In fact, if he comes out backwards, aiming his gun at everyone in the bank, he's like, I'll blow your heads off. And ICE is right there and could just pop one in his head. They're not permitted to do so. It's a local issue. It's not their issue. It's a federal issue. If they did kill him, probably wouldn't get in trouble for it, but they could. And it's not their job. They're not permitted. They don't have the authority. They could probably do it because they'd get away with it under, there's all sorts of civilian, if you as a civilian engage somebody who's doing something criminal and threatening people's lives, you're usually okay. But having said all that, all right, where we stand right now, we are monitoring the location where this has occurred. And by the way, I wanted to reiterate, we have heard now, apparently Alex Jeffrey, let me put his picture back up. Not only did he work at the VA, not only was he a nurse, he did have a criminal record. It was all parking tickets and traffic violations, and I think he had 2 or 3. He had no criminal record outside of that. So I will henceforth say he had no criminal record because I don't consider a parking violation to be a criminal record. But for the purposes of precision, other news organizations have pointed it out, and we will point it out as well. Other than minor traffic violations, he did not have a criminal record. Henceforth, I'm going to say he did not have a criminal record because I'm not going to make that qualifier every time. No criminal record. And it turns out that he is a U.S. Air Force veteran, which has been confirmed by Veteran Advocacy Services. So not only did he work at the VA, not only was he a nurse, not only did he have no criminal record, not only did he have an open carry license and therefore could legally have the sidearm he had with him, not only did he not reach for it, which we know by this photo, where, again, we believe the gun is on his right side, unless I can't tell what that shadow is. I am curious about that shadow. Okay, you can see here. So first of all, the first one to make any physical contact with anyone else, which is usually how you tell who committed the crime, is the ICE agent. The ICE agent has put his right hand right on the abdomen, just above the stomach, just below the chest, and appears to be pushing him back. He has a camera in his right hand. We believe, judging by where the weapon was removed from the holster, he has a holster under the coat on his right-hand side. It may be that during the scuffle, that's when they noticed it. Who knows? But the president is out saying that he was brandishing it, aiming it at ICE officers, and that's when they engaged. This is the moment of engagement right here, and it is the ICE officers who are engaging. They are the ones who have just committed assault by putting their hands on a man who has not committed any crime. This is assault. You are not allowed to put your hands on someone. You're not, this is literally putting your hands on someone without permission is assault, even if it's just putting it right on the chest. It doesn't matter. That is the legal definition of assault. It doesn't even have to be, once you've invaded that, you are not allowed to touch another human being without their consent, period. Now, if you look at the woman on his left, our right, she has a whistle. She has a headscarf. She has glasses in case they deploy tear gas. She's obviously a protester. He is in line with her. They are along the parking line along the street, which means they are not obstructing traffic. So he isn't actually violating even local ordinances. He's not violating any laws. And ICE is now engaging him. And again, after this incident, ICE started engaging everybody who appeared to have a phone and taking the phones from them. We heard multiple people screaming, "Give me back my phone. That's my phone. You can't take my phone." Again, if this had been police and this had been proper, they would detain anybody who witnessed it and get their phones as evidence, but you'd get a receipt for it. You'd get a receipt that says, "We've taken your phone on this day. We've taken it because we believe it contains evidence of a shooting. Your phone is going to be returned to you after we determine who's at cause," yada, yada, yada. That's not what they were doing here. They were hitting people on the head, trying to knock them out and take their phones from them. And then they were deploying tear gas against anybody who resisted in an attempt to, from what I can tell, cover up what appears to be, by everything we've seen here, murder, outright murder of an unarmed man on the ground who did zero wrong. Even we've seen people do something wrong by accident. With Renee Good, the question was, she wasn't looking the right way. She was backing up, and then she started going forward. Is it possible she clipped him? I have seen no evidence in any of this that argues for any possible interpretation that he started the engagement by any legal quanta in either state or federal law. This is as close a case of murder that we have seen on this show, I think, since we've been. It's not. There's no even threat. There's no pretend. I see. It's insane. What we have now is an armored vehicle is in the area. We are following that. We're following a couple of other things that are going on. The issue is, as of this moment, we played it already. We won't play it again. Tim Walz has deployed the National Guard. We had discussed this earlier. He readied the National Guard without deploying them. He staged them without deploying them. Why? Two reasons, actually. First reason is because if they are staged and ready under the authority of the state of Minnesota, it makes it harder, not impossible, but harder for Trump to nationalize them and then deploy them. It also makes it much easier for the state to slow down any federal deployment of them. So Trump, who has been nationalizing or federalizing and deploying various national guards in an attempt to instigate and piss people off, would have a much harder time doing that in Minnesota because he has to actually file a separate set of paperwork to take away the authority that is in active use by the state's governor. They've already been deployed to another task. He has to rescind that. Then he has to activate them. Then they have to destage everything, take everything out, and then prepare to go wherever it is that they're going to go. And that destaging can, wait, I was just moving, I have a desk over there, and I was moving one pen at a time. You mean if I keep them in the cup and move the cup, I could have just moved the cup and it wouldn't have taken 7 hours to move all my pens? Wow. There are an infinite number of ways, once they have been activated by the governor, that he can't stop it, but he can slow to a crawl their deployment by the federal government. That was one reason he did it. The second reason he did it was because he knew ICE was instigating. He knew at some point ICE would succeed, and if they did, he would need them. Today appears to be that day. He has deployed the National Guard since ICE, last I heard, didn't have an armored troop carrier. But having said that, Kristi Noem's fucking insane. And at this point, given what they're passing in the budget and just like, so we're going to cut the budget by increasing how much money we give to ICE tenfold. Let's just do that. Because ICE, what I heard ICE really needs is tactical nuclear weapons, because you never know what these crafty illegals are carrying. And you know, a tactical nuke would really make things easier. Don't worry, they'll only deploy them in blue cities. So my suspicion is the armored personnel carrier is, I think it's an APC, is National Guard. There's some good news with the National Guard. It's not great news, but it's good news. The National Guard is going to be people from that state. They know what the laws are. They know what they can and can't do. The bad news, oh dear. Okay, no, thank you, Brooks. Yeah, I'll get that right now. So, they're from that state. They know what the laws are. They've been trained in that state. They're ready to deploy to that state. And they know that everybody they're engaging who is from that state is a brother or sister of Minnesota. So they are much more inclined to act professionally and know what they're doing. That's the good news. The bad news, they aren't being deployed to protect, per se, Minnesotans. They're being deployed to keep Minnesotans from rioting and destroying Minneapolis. I say that because George Floyd was murdered not far from where Renee Good was murdered, and this is, as far as I can tell, more outrageous even than the killing of George Floyd. George Floyd was killed by, at a minimum, reckless disregard. I mean, you put your knee on somebody's windpipe, what do you think is going to happen? But they didn't, once he was on the ground, shoot him 6 times. So I don't know what's going to happen, but Walz appears to think, and I think with good cause, that we're looking at possible rioting. Like I said, there's already been significant protests. We have images coming in right now to our Discord. By the way, join us on our Discord. We'll be following this. We'll be following the ice storm. And there was an explosion. It happened a while ago, so we're not covering it on breaking news on a high-rise in Brooklyn. The images are rather scary, and there's been people, you know, dangling from windows trying to get out of the high-rise building, and it evokes 9/11. So it's it is on our Discord. We've got apologies. We've got channels for everything. If you're into gaming, I'm into gaming. If you're into gaming, we've got channels on gaming and what's going on with the development of various games. We've got channels for Ukraine. We are very serious about Ukraine. We pick a topic. So we've been getting images of significant engagements, what appears to be by ICE in that area. The protesters in that area have grown. That's what happened with Renee Good when she was shot. They started protesting and they made a makeshift shrine for her. It's the same thing that happened with Floyd. Whether this is going to be bigger or less, we don't know. And this is where we come full circle. The temperature is really cold. It's colder than average. It is right now, or last we checked, -1 degree Fahrenheit, which would be probably, I would assume, oh no, because for the, I'm not going to do the conversion in my head. What I'm going to do now is show one other video. We got this from Brooks, which is absolutely stunning and sort of, I mean, to me, there's the incident and then there's the follow-up. The fact that they went after everybody's phones isn't really being covered or talked about because the incident itself is so shocking. But what makes it even more shocking is, I mean, it's mens rea. They know what they did is illegal, otherwise there's no reason to go after the phones. In fact, you want as many people to have covered this as possible if you're innocent, because it would prove your innocence. The only reason to go after the phones is if you're guilty. We would like to show this video. This is shortly after the incident. I'm zooming in may help, but I'd like you to see this. This is not going to be graphic, but it's worth seeing. That is an ICE officer clapping and two on the left dancing after or as the shots are being fired. They are celebrating as their colleagues shoot and kill and ultimately, in my view, quite clearly murder a fellow American. This wasn't an ICE raid. This wasn't someone who was being detained on suspicion of entering the country illegally. He was in the Air Force. He had been born in America. He was a nurse. And I'm going to play this again. They're clapping and dancing as he is being murdered by their compatriots. I think how they handled it in the minutes after is as telling as the incident itself, between the dancing and then just attacking a crowd to take all the phones. Well, the White House and Department of Homeland Security says that he ran out into the street waving his gun and started coming at ICE. This is, on one level, one of the saddest moments I've had during this show, because the truth doesn't matter anymore. It used to be the government was like, we're going to look into it and we'll see what happened, on the assumption that maybe, yeah, one of their guys screwed up. No, they're crafting the story beforehand. They don't give a shit what the reality is. What they care about is that people buy their version before the truth can get out. Also seen fewer times I've been more proud to do what it is that I do and for the people who support us. I'd also like to make a correction. I said earlier Brooklyn. The fire was in Brooklyn. That was not accurate. It's in the Bronx. Thank you, Titan. I'd like to make that correction. We have pictures of it and updates on the Discord. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do two things, and I'm going to try to do two things simultaneously. First of all, I'm going to check on, we have a couple of sources streaming live from the area. We know that there has been deployment of gas and ICE officers there. We also have reason to believe by the APC running down the road that the National Guard has been deployed there. So both appears will be there simultaneously. I don't know what ICE has any business doing there at this point, but to deliberately cause a confrontation between either civilians or, and they may not be there. I don't know. I haven't seen. Last I saw, they were there deploying tear gas. That was about an hour ago. We know, so it appears as if the National Guard has arrived in that area. I'm going to check the live stream and try to see if I can figure out what's going on in that area right now. I'm also going to check our chat. I have not gotten to any super chats or anything anyone has had to say. And the reason is this is actually a lot to cover, and there is nuance here. There's a lot of nuance. The nuance isn't in the same respect that it was for Renee Good, in the sense of, well, was he hit? Was he this or that? The nuance is he was in fact armed, and you have to be honest about that, because that's how you disarm their arguments that he was dangerous. He was legally armed. And he was complying with the restrictions of his permits and all of his licenses, and with every part of Minnesota local law and the Constitution of the United States. And where he was standing was in compliance. He was not breaking a single local or federal ordinance that I can tell from where he was. And we've gone into his background. We found it. He's got the license. If he didn't have the license, that would be a different conversation. He's got it. So the idea that he had a weapon is off the table unless he reached for it. And I've shown you guys 7 or 8 different angles by now. He never reached for it. In fact, the only one to reach for it was an ICE agent who pulled it, and once he was disarmed, they shot him between 6 and 10 times. For what? I'm against the Second Amendment, but it exists, and I've always acknowledged that it is still the law of the land. I have to follow laws I don't agree with. That's part of being in a civilization. I prefer civilization to all of us eating each other. So I follow and enforce the laws I don't agree with. That came very much into play with what's his name, the psycho lunatic. Rittenhouse. It's just like, what did the law say about his carrying that gun? What did the law say about, and there were a lot of times I'm like, I hate to say it, but the law says he can do X, Y, or Z. He can't do a whole bunch of other shit, but it's the law. That man was allowed to have that weapon. So the fact that he had it is off the table. If he had brandished it, that also would be another thing. He didn't. We've all seen the footage. We've shown you the footage, and we've shown you, again, what I think is the single most important piece. This is it. This is the incident. An ICE officer has placed his hand on an American citizen who he is not allowed to detain, not allowed to arrest. This is called assault. He has put his hand on this man who is not threatening and who, from all appearances, is unarmed. He is armed. Whether or not the ICE officer knew that, I don't know. And in Minnesota, given concealed carry laws, doesn't actually matter since he had a license. What did this guy do? He's in line. He's in the right place. He's not... Oh, my God. All right. We're having trouble with the feed from Minnesota. Okay, we've got the feed. All right, I'm going to get this feed in. We have a number of state troopers and police officers now that appear to have surrounded. They are armed. They appear to be treating the crowd with respect. The crowd appears to be treating them with respect. Those are all good signs. What I think... I am going to check the live chat, but before I do, what I think I'm going to do is see if I can get that live feed to you guys. Excuse me, because I do think it's important. Police appear to be issuing a warning. You can hear it. You can't see it yet. I'll have it up in a minute.
What are you grabbing? Yeah, you're gonna blast us? You get it ready? Yeah? You get it ready? Not yet.
Oh.
Oh my God, let me know.
Again, I'll get this to you as soon as possible. I said that the police appear to be, the state troopers appear to be preparing to engage, and they are taunting back at protesters, which they are not permitted to do, and is a really poor idea unless you want to start a fight.
Because I'm looking down. That's the only suspect too. Look, that's the only suspect I have.
Turn this fucking board, put a mask on. Hey, keep that pinned over there. Why do you gotta be so mad that we're murdering people? Why are you so mad? This society is you're just angry, huh?
All right, we have it. I'm going to knock it back a few seconds just because I want you to see that interaction. The police are definitely on edge.
Turn this fucking board, put a mask on. Hey, keep that pinned over there. Why do you gotta be so mad?
Okay, I didn't go back far enough. That's all right. I'm not going to do it. But there was an officer who was really standing off to a protester, and she was just like, "What are you going to do? Shoot me with those things?" He goes, "Oh yeah." I goes, "You got it coming. And are you ready?" And that's not good language.
Murdering people. Why are you so mad? This society is you're just angry, huh? Angry that people are murdering people and you guys mop up and go. Clean up. We didn't kill anybody. We didn't fucking murder anyone this morning. I got to clean up this mess. I work over there. Back up! Don't give them any excuse! Back up! I'm looking at you, back the fuck up! I'm looking right at you, back up! Don't give them any
Only the right channel is coming through on what we're playing. That's not an issue on our end. That's an issue of whoever's transmitting this signal.
Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets!
All right, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I think I'm turning it down just a little bit. It seems to be... here's what we can do. Turn it down just a little bit. Excuse me. Well, we have a break in between the... We are going to stay live and keep an eye on this because this is obviously extraordinarily serious. What we're seeing is state and local police. The state police are in yellow. The local police are in black. They obviously have tear gas, batons, and zip ties. My suspicion is they are planning on moving in. We don't know yet. There has been a lot of back and forth between, especially the state police and the protesters antagonizing each other. Dunk on you, $20. Really lots of strange going on. 𝐒𝐸𝐿 𝐷𝐸𝐿. And thank you very much, Dunk on you, for that. We do appreciate it. It helps us going. Dunk on you also gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, sir. Anna Ukraine chick has Kyle Rittenhouse glorified brandish. Yeah, that was exactly it. And that was the Rittenhouse thought he was Batman. And hold on, they're firing. This is all tear gas that we can tell. This is a local Minnesota feed. It's channel 13 in Minnesota.
I know that. I'm fucking talking to them, not you. Stand down.
Probably why we still have a stream. They recognize the local press. It's probably a professional camera, and it's not only says press, but probably has, it's like, yeah. And you can see they're letting the other press. They know what they're doing when it comes to the press. All right, thank you for the correction. Let me get on that. You are correct on a Ukraine chick. I didn't even see you until just a minute ago because I had YouTube has switched back from live chat to top chat for content creators. I know it's hard for YouTube to understand that a content creator would want to see his entire chat, but as it turns out, I do. So let me finish with the
It's
we
not just
also
he's
have-
not acting like a president, he's not like acting like an adult.
Yeah, no shit. We have Kristi Noem has given a press conference. At this point, I'm not inclined to play it unless I can find an abbreviated version of it. What she says is important. Is she still speaking? No, she's not. What she says is important, whether or not she's willing to acknowledge the possibility that ICE may have acted inappropriately, versus whether she's going to toe the line on toe the line on what the administration has to say. So let us get to that as soon as possible. If there is someone on our team that could DM me, if they have a live stream of that area right now, it needs to be a live stream. Some of these, here's the one thing that happens, and just warning our guys to be aware of it. I know most of you know this, but we've seen this, which is somebody will record something live and then replay it as if it was live, even though it's 2 hours old, and they say live, and they do that so they still get the views, they still get the ad revenue, even though it's not real. So let's keep an eye out for that, please. And if someone does get a live stream, let me know. Meanwhile, Renegade Chungus, $5. We are close to full Russia and equally close to Euro Maiden. Now, was there ellipses? Thank you very much for that, and enjoyed your stream last night, Chungus, very much. By the way, as well. So, and yes, I would be delighted to help anyone who wants to start their own YouTube channel. So, don't hesitate to reach out. Daddy Jim, a member for 9 months. Trump thinks if Iran can do it, so can I. Yeah, well, his speech was Zelensky, or his meeting with Zelensky. Watch it. I think we have to record it and put it into our archive so I could just have it at a moment's notice, because when he was meeting with Zelensky, and he had called Zelensky a tyrant for canceling the elections, and Zelensky answered that as beautifully as I've ever seen it answered, which is, well, 1/3 of our country is occupied. 1/3 of the people, Ukrainians, have fled the country and are living outside of the country, and 1/3 are fighting to defend the country. How are we going to hold elections? And Winston Churchill famously suspended elections in the UK during World War II. It's been done before, and for very good reason. And when Trump finally learned this and accepted that and realized that, so he could no longer call Zelensky a tyrant, they're sitting in the White House, and Trump goes, "Oh, and he's suspended elections." He goes, "I really still find that so fascinating. So you can suspend elections if you're at war. So if we're at war 3 years from now, I can suspend elections. I never knew that. I think that's so interesting." And the way he said that was chilling as all hell. So thank you, Titan. It was really quite scary, and told you very much where his mind, excuse me, is at. All right, we have 3 streams here.
I just want to say, too, that it's always tragic when we lose a member of our community. And
come on! Yeah. We hear your pain! It's fucking terrible! I'm sorry for Renee! I'm sorry for her!
So yeah, they've deployed tear gas multiple times, and then what happens is everybody comes back, which they're serious. It is -7 degrees Fahrenheit out there. And I was about to say, I don't think the weather is going to play a role. It will play a role. It will lower the size of the response. There are people who would like to go, but otherwise aren't going to because of the temperature. But it isn't going to stop it, and we still may see a record. Like I said, it was -20 yesterday, and we saw 50,000 people. So the cold is a factor, but that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute this. I have a few notes from some of the colleagues here on In Time that I'm going to check and then I will get back to the live chat. Thank you for the updates and corrections, both from the live chat and from the crew. I'm gonna stop shouting them out quite as often because we have a lot to do here. Having said that, let's put the audio back on.
I don't want to live off your death. I don't want to live off somebody. What makes us different than the fucking vampire or cancer or a virus? If the only way we live is somebody else dies. Yeah. I don't want to live off your death. Yeah. We're all here for this. We love this. This is love, Pete. This is love. This is love. I don't want you to die. God to live. This is love, Pete.
Okay, we get it. Can we chat now? For what reason? Guys out. No more, no more. Enough is enough.
One people, human race. So everybody, ¡𝐶𝐸
I'm switching. We have what appears to be rioting. The government of Minneapolis local government has declared from Franklin Avenue to West 82nd Street and I-35 to Pillsbury as restricted vehicle access. They are limiting civilian vehicles in the area. My suspicion is they're going to be setting up checkpoints to block vehicles from going into the area. We have several reports of significant rioting. We have yet to see it. This is this CNBC stream, which appears to have frozen. I'll get on that in a second. Definitely shows some damage. We have yet to see anything of significance. Let me see if I can get back on that. I don't know if we lost it. There we go. No, it just paused. All right. So we'll be getting back to that.
I know they trained me not to hear this shit. You're a Minnesotan, dude. What are you over there for?
fucking Nazis!
Like, you don't think that we're gonna protest when it's over now?
Price is right! This ain't cold! This is Minnesota, bitches!
Oh, throw away trash.
This ain't cold!
I'm going to go back a second. It looks like, so I'm switching to this video. We've got what appears to be almost a form of encampment, possibly defensive. These have all been rolled into place. Yeah, they're preparing to at least slow down. My hope is nobody intends to light that on fire. If they do, that's going to be pretty extraordinary. The other thing you have to worry about is you don't know what's in those trash cans, and people throw away batteries and stuff like that. At any rate, this is just from a few minutes ago. Let me move to the live on this feed, but I don't think... Okay, so they're setting up barriers. This is not the feed that... and what I actually am going to do... Well... Yeah. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom this. I'm gonna go back to the previous one because these are from several different. This is CNBC TV 18. This is a local news channel. We're gonna keep an eye on that because that seems to be where the most. And there we go. And my understanding is that this is live. We'll put the audio back on. All right, what you're seeing right now is CNBC. We're covering CNBC, MSNBC, and what was the other one? Yeah, I think it's ABC, CNN. And we're bouncing back and forth internally between them and trying to give you the best view. This one is not the best view, but I just wanted you to see there's people both heading towards and from the protests, but it appears from what I'm seeing that there are several different ones. Now, let me quickly go. CNN, a number of officers appear to have been surrounded. Not a number, a small number of officers appear to have been surrounded by protesters. There appears to be a medical situation. Oh, here we go. There's somebody on the ground, and they appear to be performing CPR. So this is NBC Channel 18. It's a local affiliate. This is who showed us earlier. There appear to be multiple barriers set up. Let me just make sure that we are live on this one. And let me turn the audio back on. I'll shut my trap.
Sarah, we're with
Sarah Allen, please. That's my husband, Matt Allen.
Okay.
We were just running away from the gas. That's all we were doing.
Where is he right now?
He's being arrested by ICE.
Okay, we're gonna take care of him. Can I get you inside? What's your husband's name?
His name is Matthew James Obadiah Allen.
Matthew James Obadiah Allen. Write that down. Matthew James, we're not gonna let him get lost. It's gonna be fine. Matthew James Obadiah Allen. Matthew James Obadiah Allen. You're writing it down? Thank you. I'm just gonna keep saying it.
Thank you. CNBC says it's live, but I think that's definitely a few hours old. Thank you. Let me just close that out. Lest I make that mistake again. Now this is CNN. They may also be playing old footage. You don't expect a professional news organization like NBC to play old footage again on a live stream and call it live. That's from right after, was that? Okay, that's from right after the shooting. Thank you. This seems live, and the fact that the sun is setting makes it somewhat more convincing. So I'm going to stay on this one for now. We're also going to bring up Mark. Mark is just the awesomest guy, and appears like he is going to be going live with this in about a half hour. I'd like to know what all that wood is for. Well, honestly, if they're going to stay out protesting all night in -7 degrees, and it's -7 right now, I know what that wood is for. Yeah, they've got a, okay. That was a, okay, so that means this, which is CNN, is also old. But at a minimum, at least you can see what's going on. So, okay, it looks like they've got buckets of hot water that they are kicking over. The reason they use hot water is so it doesn't freeze in the bucket, and so that when it hits the cold, it creates instant steam. But this is also old, so let's switch out of this. This is Merck's coverage of it, and Merck is the man. This is, 4 days after his surgery, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go fight ICE. I'll be back. See you all later. If anybody here knows Merck, just let him know I support him 100% from my desk at home. I'll get him some hot chocolate. Let me check the live chat. Right now, things seem to have settled down, but he's going to be at the federal. I know where he's going to be. He's going to be at the federal building, and that's going to be a powder keg because that building is the ICE staging area for Minneapolis. And I think my hope is that given the evidence that we've shown you, we've made a pretty compelling case for this was blatant, open murder. And in that case, I think, yeah. So let me just see, is there anything else that we're missing? I don't think so. This is BG on the scene, and it looks like he's just basically heading up to the major protest. I'll turn the audio back on. Ninjester, $5. Damn it, Nick, that's false reporting. You should have called them a professional propaganda organization. My bad. My bad. I'm still new at this. I'll claim ignorance. My bad, Ninjester. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you very much for your super chat. I think it's going to be a long night. I'm going to leave this running for a minute. Like I said, there's a little housekeeping I got to do. I got to check in with a few of our guys and make sure everybody's up to date. As you can see, a makeshift memorial has already been set up. We anticipated that. We told you sort of where we think we're going. I am not going to reiterate for the new people everything that we went through. It takes some time to go through it. What I am going to do is say that excuse me. Oh, and it looks like we have I do have new footage. The oh dear Lord. So Petrie, yes, it appear okay. So ICE shot and killed a man. Thank you. He was armed. However, he did not brandish the weapon. He did not pull the weapon out of his holster. The ICE agent who did pull the weapon out of the holster fired it into the ground, we are now learning. I have footage of that. I want to confirm that before I show it to you. But if he fired it into the ground, one of the reasons that's significant is because it could give the misperception that the agents were being fired upon. An agent doesn't discharge a weapon unless he absolutely has to. In fact, you should never discharge a weapon unless you intend to kill someone or something. The agent appears to have fired the weapon into the ground deliberately. The weapon was well out of the holster. This wasn't an accidental. He had the weapon. He was holding it properly and fires it into the ground. This may have given the perception that I don't know what it may have done. Discharging the man's own weapon into the ground. That's insane. I'm going to look into that. But at any rate, what's worth noting at this point. Oh, all right. So he did not fire. All right. I'll get in. This is why I'm going to need a minute. This is the man who was shot and killed. He was a nurse. He worked for the VA. He was also former Air Force. It has been reported by, we believe, Kristi Noem, certainly by Department of Homeland Security and by the President of the United States, that what he did was brandish an arm and threaten ICE officers. This is the first contact he had with ICE that we're aware of. And as you can tell, the ICE officer has gone up to him. He is standing in a parking zone. He is legally standing there. He is not brandishing a weapon. In fact, you cannot tell that he is armed. He does have a license to carry a weapon. He's got a license for concealed carry. So he is not breaking any laws. Once ICE had him on the ground, they disarmed him and shot him between 6 and 12 times. Please understand the order of that. Once he was on the ground, ICE disarmed him. Once he was disarmed, ICE shot him between 6 and 10 times while he was still on the ground. The first person to make contact was an ICE officer putting their hands on him when he had done nothing wrong. We're going to play a little audio and let it play. I do need to catch up with some DMs and make sure that the team is all on the same page and that we are providing you with the most current information that we can. So I'm going to bring back this. We also know that Merck, who is a friend of the channels, we're big fans of his, and we've had him on. Everybody who's a fan of In Time knows who he is, and most of you probably are also fans of his. He's going to be going live soon. He's going to be at I suspect, given what we know of him, he's going to be at the federal building, which is, I suspect, going to be insane. Anyways, given what we know, and this is the officer who had disarmed him. That is his weapon. He was no longer armed at this point, and he was shot moments later. Again, the weapon that he had was completely legal, so the ICE is not a civilian, or well, they're not military. Sorry, ICE is not a local law enforcement and is not permitted to take his weapon from him under any set of circumstances other than self-defense, which clearly from the first, this is, if you're going to remember anything, remember this. The first person to instigate and start this was ICE putting their hands on a civilian who is a U.S. citizen they have no authority or jurisdiction over, who had done nothing wrong. And as that circulates, Minnesota appears to be getting extraordinarily upset. We're going to let this play, and I'm going to be checking with a few people on the team to just make sure that we are all on the same page. I will check on the Discord, and then we'll see what we've got for streams and what's going on right now. I do think it's going to be a very long night. It's Saturday. A lot of people don't have to go into work tomorrow. That will increase the sizes. It is also very, very cold. That will moderately decrease the sizes, but we are expecting a lot to go on. So I'm going to let this play. I will be back in a few minutes.
Go crack to your fucking Bolvino. Go suck that dick of Bolvino. Do you like it? Do you guys like it? Do you guys like it? Yeah, y'all bitches. You guys are females? You guys want some dick? Yeah. Bolvino's little tiny ass dick. Fucking motherfucking tiny. Oh, are you serious? Don't fuck with him. Don't fuck with him. Don't fuck with that.
Oh, you just out filming?
Okay,
good stuff.
Don't fuck with him.
Why are you filming this right now? Wandering around?
You're telling the craziest non-example of the whole movement here. So I hope that doesn't become the narrative.
Let's go!
All right, at this point, I may attempt to bring Commander in here. I'm going to go out and call him. The reason why is as follows. We have anticipated, and we've talked a lot on in time and downtime about what it would take to start this, both the use of the Insurrection Act and the conflation of conflagration. Sorry, I don't want to say a hot war, but a genuine conflict between state authorities and federal authorities, and it looks like that may be attempted tonight. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has said that agencies including the DEA, ATF, and FBI are being deployed to back up ICE in Minneapolis. Now, she said Homeland Security, but that's ICE right now in Minneapolis. So that's going to require we're going to like triple check that that's actually what's happening. But if that's happening, that would be a deployment of the DEA that has no business there, ATF, which really has no business there, and the FBI, which has a lot of business there on the other side, investigating the murder of a U.S. citizen by an ICE officer. Actually, by 6 ICE officers, because basically what they did was they held him down while another ICE officer shot him. And if you disagree with that, please look at the footage and tell me how I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. I'm not interested in having a war between civilians and the federal government and or the local government and the federal government. Having said that, tell me I'm wrong. Come to our Discord. Tell me why I'm wrong. if Pam Bondi is deploying the full forces of the federal government, which is what it sounds like, to, quote, back up Homeland Security, who so far, from what I can tell, their job has been to find civilians, push them around, and hope they're armed so that you have an excuse to shoot them. I don't think that's the kind of backup they need. So, yeah, we're going to get into that in a minute. Like I said, I have actually a number of things, so I'm going to put the audio back on this. I will be joining I'm also going to contact Commander, because if that's what's happening, this may be the night that we have been anticipating a night that will be leveraged by the federal government into triggering the Insurrection Act, and my suspicion is tonight is that night. If this is what we're going to check on Pam Bondi, what she says, but if they're planning on deploying the full federal government, then the Insurrection Act is next. So I will be back with you all in a minute. I do have access to, but I really don't have access to the live chat right now because there's just too much going on. So I apologize if I'm missing anything. Please make sure, Titan, that all the mods are alerted and all hands are on deck. And I will be back momentarily. Thank you.
Leaving the stage, obviously.
Just walk over here.
Nos encontramos en la misma acera, en la calle, donde esta mañana asesinaron.
Come on, y'all, this is our state! Let's take it back now! Let's take it back! Let's take back what's ours! We need to get the fuck out of here! We gotta go! Come back! Go!
Hey, no. They're not supposed to be.
Yeah, it's weird.
She was like, yeah, I caught him on the ring camera. They showed me his picture.
Oh, you too, dude. Jackets on the phone, what you believe, they're big. They're big. What's on? The back. The back. Please. That. And then that's vegetarian. Let's just throw this on, okay? So we'll be up. It's big. It's gonna be fun though. It's actually gonna be fun, okay? We'll flip up the collar.
I'm going to be honest. Like I'm always ambivalent about bringing children to events like this, in part because it's great to see American democracy and the right to protest in action. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm using hyperbole when I say that this is perhaps the most important protests, among the most important protests in American history. Having said that, these have been violent. There have not been a number of deaths of protesters. There have been a number of detainments of them, and some of them we haven't seen again since their detainment. We don't know where they are, and wow.
More hand warmers!
I've spoken with Commander McMillan. He will be joining us in about 10 minutes. We will be continuing. Let me just see. Merck is not yet up. We'll be continuing with this, and we're looking for confirmation of the so we're going to get Commander McMillan's take on all of this, and we're looking for confirmation if Kristi Noem really has deployed basically every federal agency, FBI, DEA, and ATF to this area. Insurrection Act is next. There's nothing left. You've already deployed the whole federal government. I mean, everything but the Secret Service is going to be there. Yeah, Commander Lance McMillan will be joining us in about 10 minutes. And then we'll see where we stand. There's a lot going on tonight.
Oh, sure. Forgot about that.
Yeah, you got one more layer there.
Thank you.
All right, as I said, we're looking to confirm a few things. We're also going to go to the federal building soon. It's hard to imagine that violence is not going to ensue there. ICE wants violence. it's impossible for me at this point to see what occurred earlier today to be anything other than stone cold murder. This is even clearer than Renee Good, and it took me a while to just come on board with Renee Good was not only, it was premeditated murder, Renee Good. This one may not have been premeditated, but it was absolutely murder. 6-on-1 for the agents. Having said that, we are awaiting Commander Lance McMillan, who will join us. We'll discuss this. We are seeing also, though, and we have to get to that cold storm that we talked about. I don't think we even put up any graphics on it because there was so much else going on, but it is purportedly going to be the biggest storm in U.S. history, is what they're saying. And let me put this here. I do have some graphics for it, but we are expecting temperatures well into the 10s and 20s below zero across the United States. And because it's expected to be an ice storm, no pun intended, and thunderstorms with, and for those of you who are used to cold weather, an ice storm is far worse than a snowstorm. A snowstorm is, let me just see if I've got, that's from ABC News. That one is, okay, I'm not going to show either. An ice storm is a very serious problem. Communities where it frequently gets cold and you see stuff like this, what they do is they trim the trees significantly around power lines. And the reason is, and everybody trims trees around power lines, but in areas that get very cold, you have to do a lot more of that. And the reason is what will happen is trees will sag, bend, and even break under the weight of snow. Is not as bad because snow, the wind will blow off. And usually you don't see a lot of accumulation. You see some, but not a lot of accumulation of snow on trees. An ice storm is a very different thing. The ice can get very thick on the trees and enough to have the trees fall over and take out power lines. It can also get thick on the power lines and take out the power lines, cause explosions of transformers, so on and so forth. We're already seeing a lot of damage being done to that as a storm moves across the mid-east to the east and north. So they're reporting, let's see, this storm is going to cross 1,300 miles of the U.S. I know in my area we have been preparing for it. I'm used to blizzards. I remember the blizzard of '78. But we are expecting really something quite extraordinary. The lowest cold I remember is about 20 below. And I've only seen that once in my area, and we are told to expect 20 below in my area. The pipes in our buildings are designed for cold, but not quite that cold. So we are looking at multiple states of emergency as a result of this winter storm. We will be keeping an eye on that too. That's obviously not the most pressing right now. Where I am, it is already below average, but we haven't been hit yet. We're going to get hit, and we'll see. In the meantime, I want to see if Merck is up. Merck does not appear to be up, but let me refresh just in case, because sometimes YouTube really screws with these things. Okay, Merck is not yet up. Now, this is CNBC, but while they're claiming, let me just see what they're claiming is live right now. They say this is a live shot. And you can even see this is not. What they're doing is, and this has unfortunately become more common in on YouTube, which is, and there was we kept getting, people would be contacting me or others on In Time saying, oh my God, there's articles of impeachment against Trump. Yeah, those were dropped like months ago, and they would show the filing of those as if it was live, and you would see it said live. it said live on the bottom left. YouTube was saying it was airing live and was receiving the live stream, but it was not a live stream. It was a recording, and it's people who are trying to get more views, subs, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to be careful of that. It's getting harder to find sources that we can trust to give to you because so many are sending false information. We've gotten some confirmation. Let me just see about, but I haven't gotten, I'm trying to get an official statement from Pam Bondi. My understanding is the FBI, DEA, ATF are being deployed to Minneapolis, but we need some form of confirmation on that. If there's anyone on in time who has anything that confirms that deployment, and we have Commander joining us, I will talk to him in a minute. If anyone on in time can confirm that, I would appreciate just DM me directly. We need confirmation that Pam Bondi has in fact deployed. I've got two sources saying that. Neither of them are rock solid. I'm not convinced, but Commander, welcome to the chaos. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So, have you seen any of the footage? You have? Okay, so you know roughly what happened. I would also like to show one additional piece of footage, just because we got this just a short while ago, and we were having a discussion on whether or not we could confirm this or not, but it is, in fact, as the agent was disarming the man, it is crystal clear that he did in fact fire a round into the ground. So let's show that real quickly. This is that, and it will go twice, once in full speed and once in slow-mo, I think. No, the whole thing's in slow-mo. There he's got the gun in his right hand. You just heard the shot. He discharged it into the ground. I think we're going to see it one more time. And now they're shooting the man who... okay, so let's just... This was actually not quite the footage I had expected. My suspicion is he's shooting it either to... because one of the things that happened in the Rittenhouse, you know, somebody fired a shot into the air as they're chasing Rittenhouse, and if I were Rittenhouse, I'd believe they were shooting at me. So by firing around somewhere, you can trigger an event just because everybody's going to assume they're being fired at. There it is. You can actually see the muzzle. Didn't mean to. There we go. I don't know if that's the one. So
the other thing that's interesting in some of the videos I've seen, you can hear them yelling, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun? I've got it. Okay, good." And that's after that when the shooting starts.
Well, and if he shoots the gun into the ground, the other thing is now any test of the gun will show that it's been fired and will show that there's a round missing. So the ICE agents can say he fired at us. You know, so the first thing he does, as soon as he's got it, boom, shoot a shot into the ground, so that now when he gets in front of cameras or anything else and hands it over and says, "Here's the gun, sir, he fired a round at us." Oh, it's very hard to see or think of this as anything other than almost an assassination of a U.S. citizen by ICE. Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. That's exactly what this is. We know that they've wanted to provoke incidents. And I think that's what's going on here. They want to cause crowd to get angry so they can shoot at the crowd. And you can then, insurrection act, boom, everything goes. And I suspect that some of the leaders of the ICE groups have been told that, they're on thin ice because Walz is preparing to deploy the guard. Once that happens, it becomes much more difficult for them to try to provoke incidents. So they're basically feeling the pressure of that timeline ticking down.
All right, so, yep, that's Titan. That's basically the only confirmation I've had as well, and that's my concern. Thank you. So, I'd like to show you this. I'm sure you've already seen it, but this is actually the first contact the man had with the with ICE. You can see they are putting their hand on him. The holster is on his right side. It is not visible here. He is holding a camera. That's all he's got. He did have a concealed carry license, so he can hold the camera. The woman next to him has a whistle, so she is a protester as well. She's simply observing. So you can tell he's on the line of protesters, and they're in the street, but actually in a parking area, parking zone.
Yeah,
you can see them.
if you look, he's in the parking slot.
Yep.
So he's not obstructing traffic.
So the ICE officer has no reason to be putting his hands on the guy. And that is the instigation of it is one of the most egregious abuses of power I've seen in a very, very long time. It is at least as bad as George Floyd. Because again, once he's disarmed, it's after he's disarmed that they shoot him. It was also after that, this happened, which I thought, was interesting, and I want to find this video because I think this is where basically what happens is, okay, here we go, and we are going to play this again because I think this is extremely important. This is, and I'm going to pause this because I don't know if the sound's going to overlap, or so let's pause this. This is, okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to mute that. This is ICE agents attacking anyone who had evidence of this afterwards and taking their cell phones. So yeah. Let's
Yeah, this is all very deliberate.
Yeah.
Watch out. Hey, man! Hey, you gotta get this done. Get the phone. Get this done. Got this motherfucking crazy. Why was standing
All right, so we are watching two things right now. The first is what is going on at the site where the man was killed. Now, he was, by the way, he had basically parking tickets was the only criminal record he had. He had a license for the firearm. He was a Air Force veteran and worked at the VA as a nurse. There has been a makeshift memorial put up for him, and there are protesters at the memorial. The protesters have, as you can see, established some blockades, and they've also set up a good deal of wood and fires to keep themselves warm. We are also keeping an eye on the federal building, which is where I suspect Merck will be. Let me see if Merck is live. Merck is not yet live, but he's always extremely reliable and will be at the federal building. The federal building is the staging area for ICE. And we have one source that has not yet been confirmed that says that, well, let me read it. And we've been looking to confirm it. The fact we haven't confirmed it yet is slightly suspicious, but having said that, it wouldn't be the first time that Pam Bondi has come out and said that basically every federal agency, ATF, FBI, DEA, are being deployed right now to Minneapolis to support Homeland Security, which is interesting because none of them are trained or experienced in doing that. So those are the two locations we're concerned about. The federal building, which has had protests every night for a while, and ICE has engaged, and we've had issues there, and this location where the man was shot. What are your thoughts on this in general, your 3,000-foot view?
As I said, I'm pretty sure that shooting was deliberate. It's not some accident. It's not a misunderstanding. I mean, I'm sure that's what they will claim, is that a shot was fired and the officer overreacted or something. But no, he's not going to stand trial, and we're not going to have an investigation that we tell you about. It's all be in-house and quietly forgotten about in 2 or 3 days when the news cycle moves past it. Walz deploying the guard makes sense. He definitely wants to do something to protect the people that are there. They're, exercising their rights to protest and say things. The ICE agents have no business doing what they're doing because it's totally unconnected with their job. Deploying additional personnel from federal agencies, to my thinking, says a lot, because it means you're not relying on local police who understand the people and are probably a little sympathetic and, will let them continue protesting, just keep them, as we've seen before, keep a distance between ICE and the protesters. But if you bring in federal people who have no connection with those communities, then they're going to overreact too. And they have all probably been given the same instructions as ISIS, that you were to provoke incidents.
So given that, I mean, I would imagine, and you can see there, I mean, this is, and I'm for protesting. And civil disobedience certainly has its place, the so-called good trouble. They have clearly now, and this is very reminiscent of George Floyd. We've been here before. It looks like they have blocked off this entire section so nobody can, which is illegal. It's past protesting. I'm not saying that as an objection.
Did these come up before or after the shooting?
After the shooting.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. And
this is live right now that you're seeing down
I know,
here,
but it's my understanding that all these barricades were erected after the shooting, in reaction to the shooting. So I think a little bit of forgiveness is appropriate. Yeah, they're breaking the law by blocking the thoroughfare. But at this point, it's clear that, trying to do it legally and just filming them and yelling things and waving signs, no, they're not going to tolerate that. They're going to shoot you.
And I had a question I was going to ask. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find a couple of different streams. It looks like 𝐋𝐚𝐦𝐚𝐫 may or may not be actually streaming or just airing something previous. Did I say 𝐋𝐚𝐦𝐚𝐽? I meant Merck. Merck is still recovering from surgery, so it wouldn't surprise me if he went, because Merck. But no. My point is, if you're the police and you see that, given what's happening, you give everybody a break, because this is your community. You know the people who are erecting these things. If you're the FBI and you see that and you've been told that, gloves can come off, although I'm less concerned about the FBI because they're not usually involved in violent situations. They're much more investigative. ATF is used to having to storm. Yeah, yeah. So I'm concerned about dropping ATF in there. And this is not an ATF issue. This really isn't.
Or DEA.
Or DEA. Yeah, what? DEA?
The issue is that they need more bodies on the ground, because for every additional body, that's an additional chance that an incident results.
So Trump has made it clear. Methinks thou doth protest too much. Well, I don't want to invoke the Insurrection Act, but although I don't even think he's gone that far. He's like, I will if.
He has not gotten what he wants out of it yet. I mean, this looks to be some sort of town shopping area, what they would in Britain call the high street. And things are generally peaceful. You don't have people throwing things through windows and stealing stuff. That's what he wants to provoke. He wants widespread, violent reaction by the crowd so he can send in the military, he can declare martial law, he can invoke the Insurrection Act, he can start arresting people right and left for made-up reasons. That's what he wants.
All right, I have a correction to make. Sorry, I think I saw Chungus, and then so Merck apparently will be going, which was my initial, and let's just check Merck's stream. So Merck will be at the federal building, which, if there's going to be violence, is where I would most anticipate it being. I would assume you'd concur.
Yeah.
So, and we've had a lot of this. This is CBS. I mean, it's worth seeing. This is from several hours ago. They broke up the initial protest at the site after taking people's cameras, and detaining at least a few people. Now, these were ICE detainments. So, and we saw earlier the woman screaming, "That's my husband, that's my husband." ICE detained her husband. We had talked about alligator Alcatraz. I assume they're not going to go that far with her husband. A lot of these detainments that we've seen, they get released about 8 hours later. But nonetheless, ICE isn't playing around. They have vanished people. So being detained by ICE is not something you want. These protests, I would not expect Walz would want broken up. I mean, I assume he's not a fan of them, but he knows breaking them up is going to cause trouble that he doesn't want, and he agrees with what they're protesting. So my guess is he is not going to send in either the National Guard or the police to do anything about this. So that leaves the question: is ICE going to involve themselves in this, or are they going to stay at the federal building? And my suspicion is they're going to stay at the federal building, and that these protests will continue as they are tonight. We have heard of some rioting. The car on the right here, I can't tell if some of that is damage or ice. It's been so cold there. I don't know. And then I do have one DM, so let me quickly check my DMs. I've got to tell you, to some extent, covering these things is always chaotic. We did do Black Lives Matter, and which stemmed from the George Floyd, and it's and I enjoy them in some ways more than most of our coverage, because it's like everybody's here, all hands on deck, and everybody's and we do have we've got Chuck Schumer has said that the Senate will not give sufficient votes to advance DHS funding, purportedly as a result of this. This is as of 7 p.m., but I'm going to have to double check the source on that, because I'm not convinced. that's the Associated Press stream, and I was looking for that too. So let's add the Associated Press here too. It looks like it's a very large group of people making their way somewhere. If they're making their way to the, so since that's the old, yeah, this is a very old stream. This was earlier today. The yellow is state police, and they were instigating with the locals, which I was not expecting. This is the Associated Press, and I don't know where these people are headed. Again, this feels like Kenosha, actually, where it's just like you see a whole bunch of people headed somewhere, and you don't know where they're going. Damn, does that look cold? Oh my God! It's you can see the wind in the lights. It's amazing when it gets that cold. So I don't know where these people are headed. We will get back to that. Let me see if, again, Merck is up. And has Merck taken down his stream? Let me, all right, this is, no, that was, all right, for some reason, Merck appears to have taken down the stream. He may have put up another one. I don't know. Sometimes we're stuck doing that. So basically, now, why would Trump need to wait for? I mean, I understand what you're saying. You know, if there's stores burning, if there's mass looting, then that makes the Insurrection Act easier. But I've never seen Trump need to wait for reality to catch up with what he wants this isn't sufficient for the Insurrection Act in your view?
He can do it, but what he's looking for is the approbation of everybody. Doing something like the Insurrection Act is a highly controversial act, and people are going to be screaming about it, and that means Congress is going to be reacting to it. And he doesn't want that kind of pushback. He wants it to fall into place nicely, because that way they don't have people arguing about whether it was right or not. Everybody can say, yeah, look at all the stores that were looted and the buildings burned and the number of injuries and so forth. In this case, they haven't got that. They've got peaceful protests that really haven't done any violence. Oh, some of our ICE officials were injured. Yeah, but somebody threw paper at you. That's literally some of the complaints they're making.
Oh, that was what somebody threw a paper airplane, and so they decided to they detained the guy. And I'm sitting there going, it's like, 6 ICE agents lost an eye when a paper airplane, I don't. Yeah. Well, and again, and I've said, to me, almost what sums all of this up the most is that photo that I've now shown like a dozen times, and I just can't. This photo sums it up. He's sitting there with a camera. That's all he's completely legal, and the ICE agent just already has his hand on him. The engagement has started at this point, and it was started by ICE. That's it. So we got Mercado down on the bottom right. I'm not a fan of showing Mercado's streams, and here's why. Because if I'm showing them, you're not over there watching his. I don't want to steal. He's a buddy. I don't want to take views from him. Having said that, we're gonna bounce around a lot. He's good. That's the problem. I gotta show him because he's good. He is back up. Thank you, Titan, for finding that for me. I appreciate it. But I don't stay on him because he's a buddy, and I don't like taking views. Somebody's like, well, you could watch Mercado, or you could watch him on In Time and get the commentary. It's like, no, it's not a gentlemanly thing to do to a guy you like and are friends with. So we're going to go to this. Apparently both are. But he's there. He's on the ground. I trust the guy, and I know what he says and does. So when he says we're live, as opposed to MSNBC. You looked like you were going to say something.
Well, I think what they're looking for is a situation where they can get Congress to hand him the reins. Formally, basically, Congress agreeing that they don't have authority or power anymore. That's what they want.
Now, that actually, I am going to go to Mercado, and it's branded, which I like. It's branded, so at least you know who's giving us the highest. I also, this is the other thing. Okay, wait a minute. This is okay. So this is Associated Press. It's not a bad camera that they're using, but it's not great, and you can't tell right now because they're not at. You're not seeing much, but they're looking up. Okay. This is BG, so that's not going to necessarily be the best. The best camera, best, highest quality image, Merc. Sorry, I know I'm gushing, but I like the guy. Really, because of the way Congress is set up, it's actually kind of an Overton window, right? So, I mean, it's just like already there's a lot that would, there's a number, including Speaker Johnson, who would just give Trump whatever he asked for tomorrow. I mean, if he said tomorrow, I want you to declare me king, probably a third of the House would say, sure, no problem. At least a third. But that's not enough to get it done. So what he's looking for is enough to make up that he can actually cross the line and have those reins handed over. So it's convincing the people who are Republican, who are inclined to like him, but aren't the sycophants that are the 1/3 he's already got. And he's got to get things enough to get them on board that he's got 2/3 or whatever the margin is he needs for whether it's some kind of legal, you know, we give you the authority.
And he's under a time crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what would happen had this occurred not in January, but say in April or May or into the heat of an August summer.
But wouldn't that play more into because there'd be more protesters and more violence?
It does. It does. The heat of summer is the one thing that typically brings out the violent acts because people can stay out all night and get rowdy. These are people who are out here because they're dedicated to this. They want to protest what's going on.
All right, I got something from Brooks. Yeah. I got something from Brooks. In general, I don't play things cold. So what I put up, I've already seen before. Brooks is one of the few people who can send me something, and I will play it cold. So let me quickly grab this, and we will see what he has sent. All I got this from Brooks with the message, LOL, they fucked up. So we can all see this together for the first time. Let me make sure the gain is up on that so you guys will be able to hear it. And let's see what Brooks was kind enough to send.
I'm a big supporter of ICE. I think ICE is great. I think they should deport every single illegal alien in the country. All that being said, you can't have ICE. Because I'm a supporter of ICE, that means that I need to have accountability for ICE. And let me explain what I mean by that. If you have a police department that's not accountable, or a law enforcement agency that's not accountable, that basically is the Gestapo. That is the secret police. That is the SS. So, and now...
All right, now I think he's referring to something with this weapon, but I can't tell that perhaps the weapon that they're claiming was his was actually a different one. I don't know. At least Minnesota will be able to investigate that on their own. I'm wondering why he's got...
Yeah, if they're showing the weapon on the right as being the same as the weapon on the left, it's pretty obvious that it's not.
Let me see, because when Trump Okay. Yeah, so it looks like they've turned it around. I don't think I screen captured the full. This was Trump releasing. Yeah, it's a different weapon. This was Trump releasing. And the question is, whose car is that where they're taking the photo? Trump released a picture of the weapon. That's what he released. So
billions of dollars stolen from the people of Minnesota.
I know. I'm so glad that he's
huge, bigly huge.
Well, the problem is he wasn't the one who did it. I mean, if Minnesota were willing to pay him a couple $2 billion, I'm sure would be out of the woods with this. Walz is just so. The fact that Walz isn't paying protection money is just so liberal of him, and it's why all the woke people really are just a problem. It's like, no, we're not going to pay you protection money. We have something called the Bill of Rights. He's like, the Bill of what? It's a nice constitution you got there. It would be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah, exactly.
While I've got you, any thoughts as to the Board of Peace?
Oh, Christ. It's a shakedown racket.
Yeah.
It's pay me $1 billion to be in my imaginary club, and I won't attack you for now.
It says a lot that 2 of the founding members couldn't attend the signing of the Board of Peace because it was in a country that has signed on to the International Court. And so they'd be arrested at the airport just for showing up to sign the Bill of Peace for committing acts of genocide. I'm just like, this, I can't, my brain can only take so much of this before. Oh, okay. So Merck is at a, and I'm going to, again, get off of Merck. At least he's branded, so everybody knows who this is. We've had him on. I've been on his show a few times. We have a tremendous amount of respect for this guy. And if you want to not hear all our yapping and just watch and see what's going on, this is the guy to go to. In fact, if we could drop his link, I'd appreciate it. This is obvious. And I love, again, he's got a great camera. He's got he's self-taught, but he has a lot of experience covering stuff like this. So that's a interesting photo. And then oh, okay. Ooh. All right, thank you, Titan. So let's see. I've got a lot of respect for Merck, so we'll if you guys could drop that. I guess the other thing that Brooks was trying to say, and he's this person's name is 𝐒𝐚𝐦𝐚𝐫, and apparently 𝐒𝐚𝐦𝐚𝐫 is a huge Trump supporter and supporter of ICE. So. And has a very long history. I've never heard of him, but apparently I'm being told by the team here who have heard of him and seen his stuff that he is basically MAGA. He's full-blown MAGA. And if he is sitting here criticizing this, that's a very bad sign. That's in some circles, not my circles, but in some circles, that's huge. So that's worth knowing. Thank you, Titan, for bringing me up to date on that. All right, I'm going to check the live chat right now and just see if we've got anything else. Yeah, I should have called them professional propaganda organization. I know. My apologies for not going with Herr Trump's. Oh, all right. So, what are your thoughts on what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the night? My assumption is that In Time is going to be live now for the next 8 hours, probably roughly. Things will start to slow down for a little bit. We're going to keep the stream going. We're going to be alternating.
What we're going to see is this large mob is moving towards probably downtown Minneapolis, where they're going to surround the federal building. where we know ICE is basing itself out of. And they will protest. I don't know if anything will be done until daylight. The ICE guys need their rest, beauty sleep. If you're going to be on camera like this, you've got to look good. They're also waiting for all the federal reinforcements to show up if, in fact, that is what's happening. And they won't be able to get there until earliest late tonight, probably, midday tomorrow. And that's assuming they have people on standby to go. If they don't, it's going to take a lot longer than that. It'll take another day or two before they show up.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I mean, they're not, how are they going to get there so quickly? Oh, dear. This is interesting.
What's that?
I'm going to try to find an original of that photo, but I've been thinking to myself a couple of questions. The gun in that photo, whose car is that in? And whose charging cable is that? And you can Google search that photo and see which news organizations are carrying it and saying, oh, Trump posted this. And there's a couple. ABC News has it. The Daily Mail has it and has a picture of it. But there appears to be a picture of that gun exactly as, and let me bring it back up here. There appears to be a picture of that gun exactly as you see it that was posted to Reddit 2 days ago in a tactical gun discussion. And so the question is, if there's a picture of that gun in that exact situation posted 2 days ago to Reddit, that's honestly not, that's not as damning as one would think, because it wouldn't be the first time that Trump has just found a photo off of Google and said, oh, this is the situation. But dear Lord. All right. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, because if that's the start of the thread, if that Reddit thread was started 2 days ago, it's possible it would show up as, okay, that's good. Thank you for that check. All right. So I think we're going to say that's unverified for now, and we'll hold on to that.
You'd have to go through the entire story thread and find when that shot was posted. If the discussion was started 2 days ago, it could have been posted, this afternoon.
All right, good. I'm glad we checked that. Thank you. All right. So I don't know. I don't want to keep you too long, unless you want to stay with us all night, which you've drunk the Kool-Aid. You're officially a time traveler. Any other thoughts on what we've got here? One of the things I'm going to do is I am going to pause, I think, the stream. And when I say that, no, I'm just going to close the shield. I'm going to get some dinner. Things are reasonably quiet right now. We're going to stay live because we don't know what's going to happen, and this is really a breaking situation. I'm also, actually, before I do that, quickly going to double check the, make sure that we don't have any new super chats or anything. All right, and then we're going to, and then we'll be back. Well, I think this is going to be a long night. We're going to be following this all night. So any final thoughts? What should we be looking for? You said you expect, if there's going to be violence, they'd prefer it in the daytime, and that they're probably going to, if they're going to start anything with the protesters, do it during the day?
I think that's the case. The night, and the fact that the shootings have happened the way they have suggests to me that these people are very poorly trained. And if you put poorly trained people out in the dark, there's as much chance that they're going to shoot one another as the crowd shooting them.
That's a good point. Well, and they took very wide stances when they were trying to take this guy down, and they were standing, so they weren't. it was just interesting. When you take a wide stance like that, yeah, you're more stable, but you're a lot less nimble. You can't move to accommodate the guy, and you're real easy to topple over if he, throws his leg up or something like that. And so I'm seeing these guys treating him almost like a basketball, and they got their legs way out, and I was just like, no wonder it's taking 6 guys, and they can barely keep the guy down. They have no idea what they're doing. And it's a little silly to watch, but all right, so I'm going to get some dinner. We are going to stay live. I will also check in with the live chat, and I'll probably drop in and say hi to a number of people. And for the mods, Titan, if you could make sure that we have somebody who's going to be, it's hard because if they're not available right now, how do you ask them? Like, are you going to be available in 5 or 6 hours to cover? But just to make sure that we've got a shift going, because I think we're going to be here a while to keep an eye on this. Commander, I really appreciate you coming on, and if you have any final thoughts or words before you go, and then we'll just dial it down and say, I do want to check in on Merc real quick before we go.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but my suspicion is that nothing's going to happen tonight. You may get, further idiotic pronouncements out of the administration, but even so, they can't react that fast. So, oh yeah, I'm going to deploy the 82nd Airborne. Okay. Sure you are. They're still not going to be there on the ground until morning.
Excellent point that I had not thought of. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us on such short notice. And like I said, I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and then I will be back. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to just keep everything going. Thank you, Commander. And I will see you all in a few minutes. All right.
So again, guys, we're out on the scene here at 27th and Nicollet after DHS agents opened fire and killed Alex Jeffrey.
this morning contact with to enter this scene to gather evidence. We were once again blocked by federal authorities. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Drew Evans, and I am the superintendent of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. The public in the state of Minnesota expects that when a person is killed in one of our communities, an independent, thorough, and transparent investigation is conducted into that incident to fully understand what occurred when any law enforcement authority is involved in a deadly force encounter. Minnesotans not only expect this, but they deserve this. That's what our BCA Force Investigations Unit does. For years now, our independent unit has investigated the majority of use of deadly force incidents in our state. That's true for entities like the BCA, and it's common practice across the United States. That includes incidents involving federal officers and other high-profile incidents like have occurred in the city of Minneapolis and across our state, not only in recent months, but in recent years. Our highly trained independent team of investigators, crime scene personnel, are experts at conducting these types of investigations. This is all they do. We do not make decisions about guilt or innocent, but we compile the facts of the incident for review by proper prosecutorial authorities, both at the state and federal levels. This morning, I was in contact with the Minneapolis Police Department after the incident that you're all familiar with now. They requested our Force Investigations Unit respond to the scene and conduct such an independent investigation as we have in other recent incidents in the city of Minneapolis. What occurred was our team responded to the scene, and I was in contact with federal authorities to inform them that that was going to occur and that we were responding to the scene in Minneapolis. When our team arrived, they were blocked by federal agents with the Department of Homeland Security from accessing the scene. We worked with them and were in contact with the FBI, trying to attempt to access the scene so we can gather evidence to understand what occurred and work through this process. Our team also secured a search warrant for the scene, which is an unusual move in a public area like that, but we did that attempting to have judicial approval to enter this scene to gather evidence. We were once again blocked by federal authorities to go in and do that scene examination. We have a long history of working side by side with the Federal Bureau of Investigation on all types of cases. That's true in other high-profile incidents that you've seen in officer-involved shootings, and that remains the case that we do and will be going forward. They're excellent partners to us as an organization, but unfortunately, in these recent events, others outside of the state are making decisions that that does not occur. So we will continue to investigate this case and others that we have recently been involved with, but I would be remiss if I didn't state that it will be difficult to obtain all of the evidence and information contained without cooperation. It is my understanding at this time that this case is now being led by the Department of Homeland Security Investigations as an investigation into this matter, and not the FBI leading that at this point in time. As the FBI gathered information and conducted crime scene evaluation, they left. After they left, we were attempting to move in to do our own scene examination once we can access the scene, but federal agents that cleared the scene, as was previously said, the state and local police that were on scene from the beginning of this, providing protection of that scene alongside federal agents trying to allow us to do our work, were unable to hold that scene, and it got overrun with protesters in the area, and we were not able to re-examine that scene. I'm aware, and our team is aware, of the videos that you've seen, and we would welcome additional information provided to our team going forward that will continue a full investigation to the best of our ability with what we have, and we will do that as we always have, fairly independently in that process and transparently as we do in every investigation, and provide that without recommendation to the county attorney's office for review. You know, we're in uncharted territory here. It's been a long-standing understanding both within our state and across the country that entities like the BCA that conduct 80+% of officer-involved shooting investigations across the United States are asked to do these investigations of federal agents involved in officer-involved shootings. There certainly can be a new process going forward if the federal government would like to do that and federal agencies, but that has not been a discussion that's been had so that we can provide clear understanding to citizens to understand what that process will be. And so we will continue to investigate this case. We welcome cooperation. I'd continue to ask that we provided access to any information that's necessary to do a complete investigation, and that we want to work together with all of our federal partners so that we can really understand what occurs in any of these cases. An officer-involved shooting is an incredibly complex incident, regardless of the video that you see. And the only way to really, truly understand what occurred is to have a full investigation of the matter so that we can really understand what we all see that happens in a very short period of time that is often incredibly complex and requires a very thorough and large investigation to really understand what occurs in those very few moments that we often see. We'll continue to pursue partnerships with our federal partners in these investigations and others going forward, as it's clear to us and it's clear to all of us in Minnesota that we at the state and local level have an expectation when something happens in our communities that an investigation not only is done by our federal partners, but also by state and locals into various incidents as we see them. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and our Force Investigations Unit is committed to continuing to work on these sorts of incidents and conduct those independent investigations at the request of our local partners. Whenever that happens, Minnesotans deserve that so that they can fully understand what occurred in each and every one of these incidents, so they can really have an understanding of what occurred each time something happens in our communities. With that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
So to be clear, you said you got a signed official warrant to gain access and were still denied by federal agents?
Yes, that's accurate. The question was, we had a signed warrant and we were still denied access to the scene. That's accurate, correct.
How uncharted is that? And have you had any contact? You said that you understand DHS is leaving now. Have you had contact since then? And is there any reason to believe that there is now a new way forward?
Yeah, the question was, have I had any contact since it's my understanding DHS is running this investigation? I attempted to contact the individual that I was told was the overall commander at the scene, and I have not received a call back from them. We will continue to work together to gather that and make that contact and understand their process, but we have not had contact yet today.
How much investigative work were agents able to do at the scene and when they could get access?
We were not able to do really any work at the scene once we had access because it was quickly overrun and overtaken. That being said, we have been out talking to witnesses, gathering information, gathering various video, and we'll continue to do that work. You saw in the recent shooting in North Minneapolis, if and when it's prudent and we need to, we can always return at a different time if there's relevant evidence at the scene. The question is, do we know the identity of the federal agents involved in the shooting? Not only on this case, but the other two that have happened, the federal entity, Department of Homeland Security in particular, does not provide us that information. They have not provided us that information in this case as well.
Yes, Aaron at Channel 5. How will you be able to ensure a thorough and fair investigation if they weren't able to collect
Yeah. So the question is, how do we ensure a thorough investigation if we weren't provided access to the information? It's complicated. You know, that's why the long history of jointly working investigations when the federal entities conduct their own investigation is really important. And we have a long-established process of doing that, and we'd welcome that now, or we'd welcome parallel investigations where they share information with us. And to be clear, the BCA will share everything we obtain in our investigation with them. To say that we can do this in the manner that our team normally does, which is a very strict and established protocol, that obviously is disrupted. When we don't have access to the crime scene, we don't have the ability to map the scenes that we normally would in that process, so it will be compromised in some level of getting all of that. The hope is that we'll use all the different tools available to take different paths to do the best that we can with the information that we do have.
Preemptively knowing that perhaps you might be denied, and then secondly, can you share what agents were told on the scene by DHS as the reason that they were not allowed to access, or that your agents weren't allowed to access the scene?
So the question was about the warrant and then access to the scene. We took the step of getting the search warrant because we were denied access to the scene. So we thought that we'd be able to get access to the scene much like we would anywhere else, by having an independent judge agree that we have probable cause to investigate the incident at the scene. That was provided the information to the Department of Homeland Security, and they said that this was a scene and matter being investigated by the federal government, and they would not allow us physical access to the scene.
So you arrived, just to follow up, you arrived at the scene, you were denied, you go to a judge, ask for a warrant, though Judge Grant said warrant, you show up with that, and you're still denied.
That's accurate. We were denied after we provided information we had a warrant. Please.
I'm not trying to be glib here. Has local law enforcement lost the ability to pursue the rule of law against these federal officers? I'm just trying to understand, what does that mean for this operation?
Yeah, the question was about, has local law enforcement lost the ability for the rule of law? I will tell you that I and other law enforcement leaders continue to have discussions about this. It is important for people to understand just across Minnesota that there are two different, sets of illegal entities in the United States that conduct law enforcement operations: state and local, and federal, and then tribal and territorial. Normally, and under normal circumstances, we work hand in hand in partnership on a variety of different criminal investigations. Each and every day, BCA agents and local law enforcement across Minnesota are conducting violent crime investigations, drug investigations, human trafficking. We work together with the federal government all of the time. This is a situation where we're in a different place for a variety of reasons when it comes to this, and we need to find a path forward. You've heard various people say that we need to look to turn the temperature down. I look to turn the temperature down not only because of a situation that all of us want to be in across the state of Minnesota, to be safe in our homes and communities each and every day, but importantly so that we aren't in a position where there is a standoff between local, state, and federal law enforcement authorities. We have a long history of working together in partnership, and we need to keep in mind that we're all safer, we're all better together when we can do that collectively together.
We'll do one more at the far end and then one more after that.
Mary Murphy with One News Service. Are you able to confirm the identity of the man who was fatally shot, and then also can you confirm the whereabouts of the officers who were involved in this shooting?
The questions are, can I confirm the identity? I'm aware of what's being reported. That's who we believe the individual to be, but the medical examiner will be the one to officially identify them, or at least provide us permission to do that. The second part of the question was, do we know the location of the officers involved? And the answer is, I do not know.
One more? One more for the question about past situations you guys have dealt with on this. Have you ever had a situation where the FBI is denying access to the scene like this? Under what circumstances have those happened in the past?
So the question was, have I ever had a situation where federal authorities denied access to a scene? Not in my 20 plus years at the BCA and a situation like that. There's certainly investigations for national security and sensitive reasons we wouldn't have a line of sight into, nor would it be our position to ask for access to information in those particular instances. In instances where there's really concurrent federal and state jurisdiction over a matter, I'm not aware of an instance where that's ever happened. So
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Access the scene,
Appreciate it.
Joining us from Washington, D.C. now is William Lawrence to discuss this. He's a professor of political science at the American
Ooh, not that one. I'm good. Thank you. I want to be the fire. Oh, sorry. Why do you choose to invade right now? Hey, y'all. They know if it was summer, we'd be thick as fuck.
True. But they're like doing like the whole Russian thing. Like Nazis invading Russia kind of stuff.
Yep.
That's why they're getting so mad so quick.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, Charlie, watch out. Watch out, watch out.
Oh, man.
That evil ass right there.
Hey, on foot of break. Foot of break.
We're live out here at the corner of 26 and Nicollet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll still get the views from them, but they're not going to be able to chat. That's all it is. They'll still be watching, just the chat won't work for them. No, we don't need that. I don't care what your political opinions are, just as long as you're not MAGA, because you're a traitor cuck. So, I don't care if you're conservative, center, left. But if you're MAGA, you're an absolute traitor to this country. And go fuck yourself.
The trash stuff.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah, we're live in Minneapolis right now. Live on the scene. Holy cow, Martin, thank you so much. Oh, wow. If you guys are looking to support mutual aid, you can join our Renegades community, also our Discord server. I'll make sure I put up a channel later for mutual aid support, so you guys can support people on the ground here that are trying to provide aid to people. We have it up in our Facebook group, but I'll get it up on the Discord here tonight.
A couple of things I would like to, Mark, I've said it, great guy, and we've been sharing. I did also, I wanted to make sure we have this is all pre-formatted. We've got his name up there and most of his logo, but he goes and covers these things live and comments live too, and you can hear it. Let's listen in real quick. Or not.
Went from an administrative position, just doing paperwork at ICE, and now they're out militarized. Fuck that.
Strike, 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 strike!
Nope, absolutely not.
It's our duty!
So as he pointed out, and what he was hearing, and this is what I like about him too, is if you can't always hear, he'll clarify what's going on and what the people are saying. And what they're calling for is a general strike. Considering that they went on strike yesterday, and they did. They had a strike, and it was 50,000 people in the streets. My suspicion is that the general strike will be successful. So, so let's see. All right, perfect. Yeah, and I think we dropped a link, and I'd like to drop another link to his channel to make sure that everybody knows what it is. But like I said, he clarifies. So it looks like they're calling for a general strike. Titan pointed this out, and as much as it pains me to say that I agree with him, and Commander said this, which is it's actually unlikely to get any worse today. None of these are violent crowds. Tim Walz knows better than to get any of the police or National Guard involved in this as it stands right now. This is all very fresh. They're not destroying anything. There's no damage to property. There's no rioting or looting, so they're not going to go in. The previous engagements that we saw with the state police all seem to, either they were recalled, I don't know what happened. It seems like all that's done. So, let me just, okay, I'm going to check over here. Yep. I need to change that. Anyways, so, I'm 100% right, 99% of the time, yeah. Funny, my math showed it somewhat lower, but okay. Anyways, and we can always go to breaking if something does happen. But since the protesting actually is not happening at the federal building, which is where we'd most likely see something violent occur, it's all happening. The protesting is all occurring at the makeshift memorial that they've made. So my suspicion is, and the commander pointed out that even if Pam Bondi wants to deploy the entire, every federal law enforcement agency in the world, it's going to take her time. She can't just snap her fingers and have them out there. So thank you, Titan. What we're going to do is I'm sort of making my final rounds. Oh my. All right. So we've been getting, I'm going to make my final rounds, check on anything that needs to be checked on. We'll report any final news, maybe do a final rundown, and then leave it at that so that you are as informed as you can be. And you can all go eat and do what you want, and we'll stay on it and go breaking if we need to again. Pam Bondi has sent a letter to Minnesota officials saying that ICE would leave if Minnesota were to hand over all its. Yeah, I just want to make sure. I think I know that source, so I think that's a good source. I just want to double check that because that's a really crazy thing. Yeah, a couple of people are reporting that Pam Bondi sent a letter to Minnesota saying that ICE would leave if they met two conditions. Sorry, three conditions. Let's see. Looks like I can't access the first one. One of the conditions is to repeal the sanctuary policies that have led to so much crime and violence in Minnesota. Doing so will save Minnesotan lives, and then ICE would be permitted to leave. She also insists that they would need to have an agreement whereby all detention facilities in the state would cooperate fully with ICE, honor immigration detentions, and permit ICE to interview detainees in custody to determine their immigration status. My suspicion is she means in police custody. I urge you to reach an agreement with ICE that allows them to remove illegal aliens in custody of Minnesota's prisons and jails to avoid pushing these interactions in your streets. Yeah, Governor Walz is the one pushing. That's what I see here. Anyways, and Commander's not here anymore, so we can Lower that. Anyways, that is, I think, illegal to make that offer. I mean, either ICE is needed or it's not. She's also requesting that the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice have access to the voter rolls to confirm that Minnesota's voter registration practices comply with all federal laws as authorized by the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Fulfilling this common sense request will better guarantee free and fair elections and boost confidence in the rule of law. I am confident that these simple steps will help bring back law and order to Minnesota and improve the lives of Americans. The time has come for the state and local officials in your state to change course. As the Chief Law Enforcement Officer for the United States, I am committed to enforcing federal immigration laws and keeping every American safe. Dear Lord, if she calls this safe. There has been more shootings and crimes since ICE has gotten involved than there was beforehand. So how are they making things better? Minnesota can and should be a partner with us in this administration. Do not obstruct federal immigration enforcement. Do not allow rioters to take over the streets and houses of worship. That's not what happened. Do not hinder officials from investigating financial fraud and violation of election laws. She's got a long laundry list of things she wants him to do that have nothing to do with immigration. Whether state and local politicians stand in the way or not, we will work every day to protect Americans and make Minnesota safe again. I request that you join us in that effort. Sincerely, Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Probably just sending that letter was illegal, but what does the law really mean anyway, I guess? All right, I was going to do a rundown. There is nobody who is listening to this who did not know what happened. So I don't think that's necessary. I'm going to catch up with the live chat real quick, and we may call it a night. I'd like to thank everybody who has worked very diligently on all this. We will go to breaking again, so make sure you like and subscribe. If something happens, again, it doesn't look like they're actually going to the federal building, and if they don't go to the federal building, I don't anticipate much happening. Trump didn't, not Trump, wow. I'm more tired than I thought. Commander McMillan, please nobody tell him that I called him Trump. Lance doesn't think anything else is going to happen tonight. He gave his reasons, and they make a lot of sense to me. Dark art and design. Anybody who's a mod who wants to ban them can go right ahead and do that. That ain't funny. That's like Jade 4D, who would always show up at the end of the stream, and like literally we're going to credits. Oh, what'd I miss? Did Titan DM let's see. Oh, that's good. Titan made a recommendation. I think that this was a very good recommendation. The recommendation is that the Minnesota should in fact cooperate with the DOJ and inform them that they found tens of millions of illegal immigrants on the rolls, the voter rolls, who have been voting illegally for Democrats, and that as it turns out, it will take precisely as long to process all of those as it takes her to release the Epstein files. Sounds fair to me. Well, touche. No, nobody clip anything. I'm tired of being clipped. I got my face clipping and going around. I make one little mistake. I compare a good friend to a fascist, and it's like, then people just hold that over you forever. like I said, so I'm going to quickly check Merck. My guess is he's got nothing new going. He's got nothing new going on. That's the other thing about him, though. He's going to stay there till it's done. I mean, he's so nothing new here. I just checked AP. They've got nothing. I mean, they've got just what you're seeing, the regular shenanigans. So my pleasure, sweet, and thank you to everybody. That's this is a lot of people covering this, and a lot of stuff going on in the background just to make it so we can show you the right stuff at the right time. So it's thank you to everyone who provided this. Thank you for Titan, who was like knocking on my door going, Nick, we got breaking news. Hello, Nick, you home? You there? Like, we got breaking news? No, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm the news guy. If we had breaking news, I'd know about it. So thank you all. We look forward to seeing you. My suspicion is we're going to be live again tomorrow, but our next scheduled show is on Tuesday. We're still talking with Theo from Democrats versus Democracies. Theo has a lot to contribute, and we would really like to have him on. He's familiar with these kinds of tactics. Having said that, one of the reasons we were also having him on was because he could contribute with what was going on in Greenland, and unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, that's been settled. So, but with everything that's going on, got it, Titan, thank you. With everything that's been going on, it's been tough to find a way to schedule him in, especially since he's 7 hours off. So my hope is we can do it this Tuesday, in which case it'll be 3 p.m. Eastern. If not, our regular show will be at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think we're going to be mostly whatever is happening in real life is going to be the biggest determining, if that's even a word, determining factor in what we do with 𝐒𝐨𝐮𝐭𝐭𝐞𝐫 and I for In Time. Downtime will be Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Renegade Chungus is a really good guy. He's just starting up his channel, which I love, because people who start up their channels and are reasonably new at this, I get to laugh at. Usually because they're making all the mistakes I was making 7 or 8 minutes ago. I mean, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. We'll see. He doesn't mute himself nearly as much as I do, and I've been doing this for a while. But he's first of all, really big heart. Second of all, he's really a pro at what he's doing. And he, not the YouTube stuff, he's still learning it, which is great. I love helping him out. But he knows how to talk to people, and he wants to help Ukraine, and he's very experienced and good show. So we're going to send you guys over to him because he needs the support, and so we hope you will go over there, say hi to him, like and subscribe. His channel is growing. Thank you all for joining us, and we will get back to you as soon as we learn anything new of significance. Join us on the Discord, too. You can catch up on what we've been doing. Do please hit the like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference. Believe me, none of us would want to ever say that phrase again, and we say it every single show because it's true. And we look forward to seeing you later. Have a good night, all.